fate is before you. Choose wisely.
I never knew love would come and find me one day. Oh, I never knew that you would be the one headed my way. Yeah. Oh, you caught me off guard and you took me by surprise. Oh, there's so many things that I wanna do. Do you? Can you visualize? It's hard to say all the things I won't do, but I'm trying. Oh, to find a way to get close to you. It's so hard to say all the things I won't do. I'm waiting to let you know how much I want you. When I think about you, I feel la 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 la. When I think about you, I want la 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 la. When I think about you, I feel la 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 la. When I think about you, I want la 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 la. All that time. Oh, you get what I'm trying to say, 'cause to you I'm an open book. Oh, take your time and read me slowly, baby. Got the hungry look. But it's hard to say all the things I want to, but I'm trying. Oh, to find a way to get close to you. It's so hard to say all the things I want to. I'm waiting to let you know how much I want you. Yeah. When I think about you, I feel la 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 la. When I think about you, I want la 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 la. Yeah, yeah. When I think about you, I feel la 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 la. When I think about you, I want la 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 la. All that time. When I think about you, I feel la 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 la. When I think about you, I want la 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 la. Yeah. When I think about you, when I think about you, I feel la la la. When I think about you, I want la 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 la. All the time.
I press the button and the doors go up like whoa, that money clip us now, the new now looks like whoa, upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like whoa, 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 whoa. I hit recorded drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets. When I'm performing, never boring, now you can't afford it. Champagne Perrier, Finnish friends on my face, looking like I'm from the deep. These no Cartiers, pockets deep, 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 bro. I can make it in my seat, bro. Do you, I'm doing me, bro. Making noise, use a beat, bro. Whoa, whoa. I press the button and the doors go up like whoa, that money clip us now, the new now looks like whoa, upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like whoa, 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 whoa. Neighborhood on the scene, neighborhood on the strip, neighborhood be the name, neighborhood no crib, neighborhood that's me, neighborhood that's Nick, neighborhood do the dance, neighborhood do the dip. Okay, thought I'd never make it like no way, I'm the real deal, no role play. My days off, that's no days. No, I hustle hard, young rose. E be the shooter, that's cold case. Those on the deals, that's brose. Got no pay, yo, no say. Okay, this the news, tell them read it. Been the one since a fetus. Don't sleep on me, Tempur-Pedic. That's a no, no, no. Spending dope for no reason. Got a ball head, Mr. Cleaner. Heard the big bags overseas, then we gon' go, go, go. Whoa, I press the button and the doors go off like whoa, that money clip us now.
Has WAP culture produced a concept called the mark of the beast? The mark of the beast is something that's more or less been heard or more or less seen in the book of Revelation, which more or less determines an ominous time in human history when men will become imprinted due to having carnal desires. But there's a condition, or more or less a word that I created called kosher hypergamy. The word hypergamy comes from Breithaupt law, and Breithaupt law more or less pontificates how and understanding the needs of women. But there are two merging concepts that I've created from Breithaupt law and hypergamy called carnal hypergamy and also kosher hypergamy. Carnal hypergamy is based on an undisciplined, primitive principle that more or less sees a man as a commodity instead of seeing a man as a human being. Carnal hypergamy is often based on the 3 6s, which means height, money, six-pack abs, or a 6-inch phallus. But kosher hypergamy is more or less based on the spirit, where the man is seen as a commodification or glorification, where he's respected, and a woman comes into the relationship seeking to honor him and to help him become the best version of himself. A woman being hypergamous in its nature is not necessarily a bad thing if it's kosher hypergamy. Kosher hypergamy is something that our ancestors or grandparents had, where a woman basically saw a man as a way to help her take care of herself and her offsprings. But carnal hypergamy happens when you have women like Brittany Renner and also perhaps Mercedes Moore. And when these women, they see men as a commodity only to get women. With over 29% of men being born in that are virgins, over 73% of kids being born in single-parent homes. And with the overinflated ego of so many modern women, a lot of men feel that women have been more or less imprinted by the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is not only those extraneous things like money, height, and six-pack abs or over 6-inch phallus, but the mark of the beast also a lot of time is the negative imprint that some of our women have dealt with, as they dealt with unsavory and also dusty men, like I call the Raekwons and the Man. If a woman is imprinted by dusty, unproductive men, can she be fit for redemption? You decide. Do modern women more or less have the mark of the beast? And I want you to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. Understanding female psychology, but also protecting the mind through male mental health and physical health, is paramount to the efficacy of a man. Be well. We're about to drop some fire for your mind. Salute to the guests, salute to the panel. We're going to have a poignant discussion on today, and we're going to talk about the mark of the beast. Many men want to be in relationships, but they feel that most modern women are not equipped to deal with good and equitable men. The mark of the beast, once again, is tied to theology as it relates to a time in human history when men would be more or less under the reign of the Antichrist. But the mark of the beast also talks about what most modern women want. He has to be 6 feet tall. He has to make 6 figures. And he has to at least have a 6-inch phallus or a 6-pack. We're going to have a discussion on today because many men are aborting America and traveling abroad to get women that more or less validate them and make them feel good. And I want you guys to enjoy this discussion because the male imprint is powerful, just like the female imprint by dusty men is powerful. I got my guest and my young lion, Todd Maynard Cutner, in the house. Todd Maynard Cutner, what's your take on the mark of the beast and the personification of most modern women? What's your take on that, brother?
Thanks for having me, Coach, the clinician, Todd Cutner. You guys know me, image coach, relationship coach, helping men get out of failing and toxic relationships. When it comes to the situation with women these days, they're receiving messages that are hurting them and they don't realize this. Okay, similar to what happened in the feminist movement, telling women that they can have it all, they don't need men. What ends up happening is they realize that they may not need men for financial provisions, but there's so much more that a man brings to a woman that they don't gain when they don't have a man in their life. You know, so you have these situations where they're being told they can have what men have. They can go out there and they can date many men. They can go out there and have sex with different men, and their biology is not made for that. All right, their biology is not made for that. Their neurology is not made for that, and it starts to create problems in the future where men are no longer attracted to them, because every time a woman has sex with a man or she gets into a relationship with a man, she's imprinted by that man, because women adapt to men, right? When a man is having sex with women, the woman doesn't tell a man what to do. The woman doesn't tell a man what position to go in. She follows whatever the position he wants to do, because if she doesn't, he won't be aroused. And if he can't be aroused, there is no sex, right? He can't give her the life that happens in sex. That's the reason why once that man is finished, sex is over, right? So she's adapting to him. If she constantly with different men, she's adapting to different men, not just when it comes to sex, but also in the way that man, the way he operates, what he desires, what he wants from a woman. She's going to be operating towards that. She keeps changing up, and also the issues that she gains from men, the way she fights with the man, the way she, the issues, the things that man may try to do to deceive her and anything like that. As women get older, they start having all these barriers and walls because they don't want to be taken advantage of, to the point where they're unattractive. They cannot connect with men because they're worried about what the last man is going to do, and it's going to hurt them as well. So it is not viable. If you're a young woman or you have a daughter, you don't want her listening to these negative messages, because even these women who are out here talking this crap, they're trying to stay with one man because they know better.
You know, Ty, with over 73% of our kids born in single parent homes, 23% of men are actually virgins. It appears, Ty, that many modern women are more or less looking past decent men, going for the mark of the beast, because they've been imprinted by unsavory, dusty guys like the Raekwons and the Man-Mans and the Shermites and the Tyrones. They've been imprinted by these dusty men. And, there was a time where I've told some of our women that they must be held accountable for their mate selection. And listen, I'm not saying it's 100% all their fault, because sometimes not having fathers in the home plays a role. But having a father in the home, Ty, is not a guarantee that these women would not get with dusty men. From your best estimation, Ty, why is it, in your opinion, that most women tend to gravitate for the dusty guys versus decent, solid, upstanding brothers?
So when you say dusty guys, you have to understand what attracts women to men in the first place. So one of the things that attract women to men is for a man to be secure on who he is, right? The guys who are, or quote unquote dusty, or they around the block, the hood guys, they're in their own element, right? This is their world, right? They created the world they want to create it, and these guys look secure in their environment. Those other guys, the guys who are going somewhere, they're not secure in that environment. They're not very secure in that environment. The nerds, the guys who are nervous and shy, women see those things as, this man is not secure on who he is. He's not confident in who he is. If I get with him, is he going to lead me properly? If he's not secure on who he is, how is he going to help me get to where I need to be? That's the reason why they gravitate towards the quote unquote dusty guy. The dusty guy does convey something that is attractive to women, right? And that's the sense of him being secure on who he is. And the thing is that these guys, when there's a father in the home, the father teaches the woman or the young lady how to operate around men. And women were never designed to be on their own. They weren't designed to be on their own. They don't have the muscles to fight off a predator, right? They don't have the mindset to be able to make sure that they're not being bamboozled and pimped and things like that. Okay, they're not meant to be on their own. They're supposed to have the support and of fathers. That's the reason why we still take care of little girls, right? We look after them. They're pretty. We want to look after them. That's the reason why women remain pretty. They remain pretty because they have to always have attention. If somebody's always paying attention to them, they can't wander off. They can't drown. They can't, a predator won't take them and they won't be known, right? That's why they remain pretty. This is in our biology. So they're going to go towards the men who they think are more secure, all right? Like I said, a man in a household is supposed to show their daughter how to get a good man. But a lot of times when we have situations where the daughter leaves the home, she goes to college, she starts her own thing, she starts getting a part of the culture. And today's culture is telling women that they can do whatever they want, right? You have the Cardi B's and the Megan and Stallions telling these girls, you can do it all, you can do this, you can do that. And these girls, these songs are catchy. I listened to a couple of these songs, they catchy, you know, and he got these, and you if you look at many of the women on Instagram and TikTok, and their body movements, they all move the same, they all speak the same, they all have the same cadence, they have the same makeup, the same eyelashes, same hairdos. Women are followers. They have to follow something. They're supposed to follow men. If there's no men around, they're going to follow whatever they can follow. And right now, they're following these women who are telling them what they can do, that they can go out here and do whatever they want. But that is hurting them in the long run. They don't see it yet because, you know, they don't know the fat meat is greasy.
Well, just like some of the women, hold tight. Just like some of the women don't believe that the fat meat is greasy. Shout out to my man, Chris Strongheart. A lot of the men don't believe that the fat meat is greasy also as it relates to modern dating and relationships. The fat meat is greasy is a cognitive distortion that a lot of women are more or less assume that they can get those top tier men, the 666s. But Ty, what many are actually coming to a realization is that those men are far and few in between. And because they have been imprinted by so many dusty men, they cannot reflect the glow of their new relationship. Now listen, the man is a type of sun and the woman is a type of moon. She should reflect the glow of a man. But this is what happens, ladies, when you get impacted by so many different men. And me and my man, El Guapo, we talked about that. Shout out to El Guapo from Beautiful Lives. That woman ability to not only pair bond becomes very pernicious or dangerous, but also that woman's ability to respect a good man becomes dangerous as well. That's why many women, not all, when they decide to get married, they marry who they settle for instead of who they wanted. What's your take on that, Ty?
Yeah, it's sort of like a musical chairs. A lot of people bring up the musical chair analogy, right? She's trying to get what she can. When the music stops, she wants to make sure she's in a chair. Right now, when women first start out in their adulthood, if they're going by the same culture, the culture that we're all living in now, they're just going by we can do whatever we want. They end up dating men who are of bad character because they're going based on the flashiness of that man. Now, a lot of men could talk a good game, you know. That doesn't mean that man has what it takes to be a good man. That doesn't mean that man has what it takes to be a provider and a father and a husband and all these things. He can be a good time, right? And then she gets looped into that good time. And that's one of the things that women they put everything through an emotional filter. A lot of times, like, you know, like I said, I help guys who are going through divorce, separations and everything. And I speak to guys all the time, doing this, why she's doing that. She's saying that she loves me, but she's not in love with me. You got to understand that women, they know how they feel, why they feel that way. They know how they feel, and they act on they don't know where it comes from. They can try to say what they want to say regarding it, but they don't really know where it's happening. That's what the man is for. The man is not as attached to nature the way women are. Okay, women are attached to their nature. They operate based on their hormones, their feelings, their emotions. They have to. Okay, it's not a bad thing that they do that. They have to do that, right? We as men, we're the ones who could put our emotions to the side for a bigger cause, right? They're not that way. We're supposed to be together. When she's out there and she's messing around with these dudes who are unsavory, she becomes unsavory herself because that's what she adapted to. She adapted to an unsavory man, try to make him happy, give him what he wants and all these things. And a lot of these guys, if they don't see any future with her, how are they going to treat her? There's going to be a level of abuse towards her, right? A level of abuse that she may even gain some sense of enjoyment out of that because she adapts to the man. If he's abusive, she's going to adapt to that abuse. She's going to take it. She's going to adapt to it, right? And then when she gets to a man who's not as abusive, she's going to have some sense of yearning for that, some sense of yearning for that abuse. And if she don't get that abuse, it's not exciting or things like that. When I say abuse, I don't mean that physical abuse or anything like that, but poor treatment, right? Lying to, not being there for her, or the things that, you know, nice guys try to be the opposite of. Nice guys try to be the opposite of what they think a bad boy is, right? But if women are getting used to bad boys, they start to expect that. It makes them exciting. It's exciting for them to be in those type of relationships, and this is what they seek. As you get older, they start realizing this is not what I really want anymore. They get with a new man. That man is a nice guy. He's trying to take care of things, but secretly she yearns for these things. She fantasizes about these things. All right. And this is the reason why she's susceptible of getting to another guy like that. So that's the reason why it's very uh once a woman has reached that level, she's risen high, she's been with somebody who's done those things, it's hard for her to go back to a regular guy. Muted.
So many guys talk about being in a relationship, but they talk about the toxic nature of so many modern women that they feel like many are unredeemable. I think it started, Ty, with Madonna. Madonna made the song called Like a Virgin, touched for the very first time. It seemed like it started with Madonna and it's proliferated into the Cardi B's and the Stallions of the world. When you heard Madonna back in the past, what's your take on Madonna as it relates to sexuality and promiscuity, rampant promiscuity, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, when Madonna came out with that song, I was a kid. I was, 12, 13, 14, something around that. But I know when you look at Madonna's history and from what you know in the industry, she's been with a lot of men, right? That was her personality, her reputation. When you start having songs like that, telling women they can do all these things, and you start having the movements, the feminist movements, because art is really imitating life.
Right.
She didn't come out there and do this song because it came out of her brain. She's looking at what's happening and she's communicating that, right? So that's what ends up happening. These women and women start to buy into these messages, and they go out there and they do these things. But you have to understand that this is not how our nature designed us to be, right? Our culture is going against what's natural to us as a species, right? And when you start going against that, you start having these other issues. Like when women are going through this situation, they're going with different men and all that, and other men aren't attracted to them. Those men can't help the fact that they're not attracted to her. They can't help it, right? You can't attraction is not a choice that a man can make. If he's unattractive, he's unattractive, and it's nothing that can happen. And so you have these women who are going out here doing all these things. It gains them no benefits, right? It's like a short-term fun. It's like going to the club, having a bunch of drinks, and now you got a hangover the next day, right? You passing out, right? You lost your wallet. The next day, everything, that's the fat, meat, is greasy, right? It's like at the party, everything was great. We was drinking, we having a good time. You kissed this person, you did that, you did all. Now the next day, you done bust your lip, you done hurt yourself, you done rip your dress. Somebody got some crazy videos of you. That's how your life is. And now you're going to turn that around and try to be a regular person. You're going to go to work now after that? No. It's like the things that a woman does, it sticks with her, because men do not want to be associated. They don't want their reputation to be associated with a woman who has that type of reputation. It brings that man down. It's hard for him to go out there and mingle with other men if another man could say he's been with his woman, right? It can't happen. So women have to understand they don't have the same. Men and women aren't judged the same.
Right. I totally agree. Shout out to my man Sean Whitehorn, my homie from BMO. Shout out, brother. Casual observer, you have a lot to say, brother. At some point, we're going to have a discussion, because I want to make sure I'm hearing you clearly. So the casual observer said, respectfully, the guest is way off. The Dusty does not appeal to a Jewish, Korean, Indian woman. It boggles my mind when I hear a man refers to Dusty in our community like this man is. I don't know what he means by that. But I'm going to say this. We're not talking about Dusty as it relates to economics. We're not talking about economic Dusty. We're talking about men that are bums, like, the thugs, the bad boys, the ones that don't take care of their kids, the ones that go on rampant promiscuity, imprinting women and impacting women because they weren't raised by strong masculine men and they came from single parent homes. Dusty man, and Ty, you correct me if I'm wrong, in my estimation, is a man that does not have any principles and no morals. Just like a woman can be complicit in kosher hypergamy. The Raekwons and the Man can be complicit in carnal, or not carnal. The Raekwons and the Man can be complicit in carnal and rampant promiscuity. kosher means righteous and pure. So there are good women out here that are complicit or more or less part of kosher hypergamy. They don't seek to use the man, but they do want a man that they can build with and a man that can give them some kind of security. But rampant promiscuity and carnal hypergamy is when a woman uses a man as a tool to glorify herself. So we're not talking about the average guy, the hardworking black man. We're not calling those men dusty. A lot of women tend to associate blue collar men with dusty, but I was blue collar before I became white collar. I worked in the chicken plant and I also worked in the factory. Now I am a clinical therapist now, and with God's grace, I have 3 degrees. I work hard to get where I'm at. But we're not talking about those type of men. Ty, what's your take on that, brother?
Yeah, so I would say that, when we talk about other communities, Jewish, Korean, any other community, you have to understand that these communities have strong family structures that we don't have in the black community, right? It's a lot more rare. Like you mentioned, a lot of kids are being born out of wedlock, right? This country has purposely divided our families. They target our families. They took men out the households, took men out the communities, right? You have some men who are being targeted for prison before they even have the ability to drive or at the age they can drive or drink. So when you have less men, you have less guidance, structure, and direction, right? So now these dusty dudes that we call them dusty, these are dudes who don't have no real direction because they weren't raised by men to be the next of men. They haven't been raised to be the next men of the community. They haven't been raised to take care of the community. They've been raised to just do whatever they want to do. Take from whatever they can take, make the money within their community, even if it means hurting their community, taking the women that they can take, even if it means not taking care of their kids. These are men without principles because they didn't have fathers in the homes because the fathers were taken out of the community. And that's why we have this uprising of dusty men or, women who don't have any type of direction. They don't have any guidance. And it's the reason why the hip hop culture, the Instagram and social media has a big impact and a big influence on our people more so than it does a group of people who have proper guidance and influence because their values are more important than what they see in social media.
You made some very valid points. It's apparent that a lot of our kids have been impacted by the lack of fatherlessness. Fatherlessness has played a major role in the decline of the black family, not only the black family, but the American family. And so what a lot of women don't understand is that there are a lot of men tired that want wives. They want good women. But because so many women, I would say more of our women have been imprinted by the mark of the beast, whether it's through Raekwon the Man, or it could be through just the popular culture and music and like real housewives of Atlanta, that when a decent, hardworking brother seeks to get with her, that woman is so hell-bent on being carnal as it relates to hypergamy that she can't relate to the average day or everyday good brother. Listen, I'm 6'6", 6'5", 6'6" with shoes on. I know you're going to laugh. But I'm 6'6" with shoes on. I got the potential to make 6 figures at some point if I work hard. And so I meet a lot of metrics for a lot of women. But what a lot of women don't understand, Ty, is that men that have standards, have status, they're very particular about the women that they want. Why is it that many women, Ty, feel that the man tree is going to be here inevitable and that man tree at some point will never die? Why is that?
Well, it goes back to the saying. They don't know that the fat meat is greasy. The thing is that when women are young, okay, all they have to do is be pretty. All they have to do is be pretty. There's men trying to get with them all the time, right? And a lot of women don't understand the difference between a man trying to have sex with you and a man who want to have a relationship with you, because every man starts off the same. Every man starts off with wanting to have sex with you. They don't know the difference between the two. So as they get older, those men who want to have sex with them, those men don't go away. It's the men who want to have a relationship with them that goes away, but they don't realize the difference. So they believe that these men are going to be around forever. The problem is that when a man is young, he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't really have a direction for himself unless he had a strong family who was raising him and putting him in the family business, giving him some guidance. He had uncles and grandfathers around him who was giving him a right manhood of passage. We don't really have that. A black man will be lucky if he have his father living with his father. A black woman will be lucky if he have his father plus his uncles and his grandfathers. He'll be lucky to have a family where it's not just his mothers and his aunts who are saying everything. He'll be lucky. But since we don't really have that, we have situations where a man is figuring out how to be the man while he is becoming a man in his 20s, right? In his 30s, right? So he's starting to become himself. Once a man gets to a point where he identifies where he wants to go, like yourself, you were doing all these jobs, you were correction, you was doing this, and you realized this is what I want to be. It took some time to identify where you want to go and where you want to be. Once you get to that point, you want a woman who's going to be there, that's going to support you in that mission and your vision in life. If she's doing anything else, if she's trying to steer you in a different direction, if she's causing you problems and drama, how could you succeed? You couldn't be with her, right? So that's why, when women are getting older and they're thinking, oh, I have money, I have a career, he should want me for these things. He doesn't care about your career. He doesn't care about your money, because he can't get pregnant. He could never get pregnant. It's not something that in a man's mind that he can get pregnant. So he has nothing will ever derail him off his path in life. So he's always trying to go on that path in life. He's going to be headstrong where he's trying to go. If you're not supporting that, he can't be with you. And if you coming in with the baggage and pain and struggles from other men, I want to make sure nobody does this to me. I ain't going to be doing that. People ain't going to be doing this to me. I ain't going to tolerate this. I ain't going to tolerate that. You got all these walls up. How can you truly connect in love?
I agree with that. Diddy said that females in the West have no desire to be wives, and I agree with that as well. I don't think many come into relationships like my grandmother and my mom. My parents were married for over 50 years with a mindset to serve. Many come in with what I call a carnal hypergamy mindset, where they want to be served. But Ty, some of our women said that they are Christians. They say they believe in the Bible. But the gospel said that the woman was made for the man. And being made for the man does not mean that the man usurp his power or more or less abuse power. That's not what that means. But it means that she was created to help him reach his vision in the earth so that she can benefit and they can benefit. That's what I call kosher hypergamy. But unfortunately, a lot of our women now come into relationships expecting to be served. Many have baggage. Many have been more or less imprinted by W.A.P culture. And many of them have the mark of the beast. Got to be 6 feet tall, six-pack abs, or at least a 6-inch phallus. And so many men come into the relationship already broken because they never knew what true masculinity was, because they have a schema affliction. But also, Ty, they have what's called thinking errors. And those thinking errors are the man come in with a mindset called minimization. He minimizes his importance as it relates to a relationship with a woman. But the woman comes to the relationship with a concept called magnification, where she thinks she's better than him. And so therefore you create something called the simp culture. There are two types of simps. There's a conscious simp and an unconscious simp. The conscious simp knows what he's doing, but he defers to the power of the woman. But the unconscious simp means he's supplementing irrational male patterns. And because some, not all, of our women more or less manifest narcissistic traits, they are more or less giving that woman something called a narcissistic supply. So he's supplementing her ego to the detriment of his own ego, which in essence creates a simp. And what men don't understand, Ty, is this, that women only respect power and strength. They don't respect men that defer. They respect men that stand on masculine principles. Ty, I want you to tell the audience why masculine principles are paramount to the functioning of a man. And, as a coach, you're a part of Love After Betrayal. I want you to talk about the types of men that you see. But before you start, listen, guys, I love you guys. It's 47 people in the building. I need you guys to share this content to at least 5 people. If you like what I'm doing, please hit the like button, hit the share button, and also donate to Cash App $7smalls. That's Cash App $7smalls. To the men that are listening, if you've been impacted by W.A.P culture and you consider yourself a good man, but a lot of times you've been more or less cast aside by unsavory women, let's have a discussion. Then casual observer, you have some very poignant points. Some may agree and disagree. When I drop the link, I want you to come in and pontificate your point, and let's have a coaching conversation. So Ty, based on what I said, I want you to more or less break that down for the audience.
Yes. So a lot of guys who come into our program are guys who they bought into the idea of taking care of their wife, taking care of the family, being a breadwinner. We have a lot of guys who their wives are working from home. You know, they have the kids and everything else, and what ends up happening is at some point, uh, the woman doesn't want that anymore. She wants to be her own woman. She wants to go and do her own thing. This usually happens around, you know, mid 30s, 40s. She starts wanting to do her own thing. I have some guys who they end up getting the woman implants and things like that, try to do things to make her happy. And when they realize it didn't work, she still wants to go out and do these things. She's like not she's a different person now, you know. And I say the same thing on every call. You know, I say the same three things on every call that a man does, which is the reason why the relationship went south. The first mistake that the man made is that he believed it was his job to make that woman happy. That he was supposed to slay the dragon, get her the flowers, happy wife, happy life, she'll love him forever. But that's not the case. Because when he starts doing for her, he puts her on a pedestal. So now she can't respect him. She looks down on him. Women have to always look up to their man. They have to admire that man. They literally have to look up. That's the reason why women have a hard time dating men who are shorter than them. All right. Trying to do things for women to make them happy doesn't work, because you can't make women happy because women don't know what they want. That's the reason why they have 52 pair of shoes in their closet. They don't really know what they want, because what they want is dependent on the moment and the time. And this is not something negative towards women. They're based on the actual moment in time. There's huge value in that, right? When a man is trying to make her happy, he only disrespects himself. The second mistake that the man make is he believes that she's the prize, that he should be lucky and happy to be with her because she's beautiful. But he's the one bringing more to the table. He's the one taking care of her. He's the one bringing the money, the house. He's the one has the leadership, the career. He's the one doing great things out in the world. He should be the prize, because if he's not happy in a relationship, he can't succeed. It's very difficult for a man to focus on career, get up in the morning, if he's unhappy in his life. He would not be able to do what he needs to do. And that's not the way nature intended it to be. Nature did not intend for women to come into a man's life and bring him down, because men are the ones who build the world. If every man was going home to a woman who was disrespecting them and betraying them and all these things, how would this world look? It wouldn't look the way it is. That's the reason why it's important for Black people to get their stuff together when it comes to these relationships, because Black men can't be as powerful as we need to be if our women are bringing us down in any way. We have to turn this stuff around, stop listening to these outside messages that brings us down. Right now, the third thing that I tell a guy, the third mistake that he made was that he was afraid to leave her. He's afraid to leave her. He's afraid to separate from her. He's afraid if she leaves him. When a man has a fear like this, he ends up letting the woman do whatever she wants. There's no consequences to her bad behavior. Right? You have to understand that fighting with women and arguing with women is not a consequence. That's just drama. And who loves drama more than women? Who's out here watching reality TV and soap operas and buying tabloid magazines? Women are doing that. That's their nature. Okay? You have to be able to walk away. You have to be able to hold yourself high. And this is what we are not taught as men in the Black community, because we are raised by women. They're not teaching us the right lessons. You'll see a situation where you'll see women who are angry with men and all these things, that have negative ideas towards men, but then they have sons. How can you have a negative idea towards a man and have a son, right? And this is what's happening in our community. This is the reason why it's important for people like Coach the Clinician. This is the reason why it's important like me. And we're going to talk about the programs that I'm having, that I'm introducing for young men of color, right? Or young men in general, to help give that mentorship that we so badly need in our communities.
No doubt. Shout out to my man, United Fitness. That brother always come through. Much love to you, brother. I'm always honored by your support, your insight, and your acumen. Guys, if you like what I'm doing, please share the content. Please share the content with at least 5 guys. Listen, guys, if you love what I'm doing, many men have been impacted by WAP culture. Many men are suffering in silence. You got good men that are listening to these programs, but they're not getting the outcomes that they want. So if you like what I'm doing, share the content. Share it with at least 5 people. Help this channel get to 2,000. We're almost there. From 2,000, help it to get to 10,000. I love what I'm doing. I enjoy seeing men empowered, not only Black men, but all men, because I think men have more options and more power than they really know. Ty's correct. I went to Brazil. I'm going to be in Frustrated 3 with Brother Al Greaves and some of the BMO homies. Shout out to my man, Deacon Eric Spencer. And guys, if you work on yourself, focus on leveling up, you can get the kind of women that you want. Frederick Douglass said it better, and I say it all the time, that power never conceded to anything without a struggle. It never have, and it never will. And so because so many women are impacted by WAP culture, as Ty was saying, so many men defer power. Shout out to my man, Drago's Flame. Thank you, brother. Enjoying the content. Much love, brother. Much love. And you're right. Drago's Flame said they are addicted to drama. And shout out to my dear, beautiful friend Maisha. You know, Sagittarius swag. We love them sags, don't we, Ty? But so many men have been impacted by WAP culture. You got guys, Ty. The average guy is at least 5'9", but so many women want guys that are 6'10". I mean, not 6'10", at least over 6 feet. While women actually, Ty, shooting themselves in the foot and self-sabotaging themselves because they have all these extraneous standards. And tell the audience how the lack of fathers have impacted some of our women as they're complicit with the mark of the beast.
Yeah, so when you have situations where women are going after these physical attributes of a man, they obviously don't realize what a man is. That's like very similar to guys going, "Hey, I need a woman with a fat ass and nice tits and light skin or dark skin, whatever you like." That's the level of just staying at that. If you was a man saying these things, most men and women should look down on you for that, right? Because you have to realize that there's much more power and much more value in being in a relationship with the opposite sex. It's not just based on those physical attributes, right? When you have women who are saying they want the 6'5" and all that stuff, it's like, it's silly talk. You know what I mean? It's like, it's silly. It's like you ask a kid, why do you want to go to the park? I want to go for the ice cream. I want to go for the icy. You don't realize the reason why we taking them to the park is so they can get some air, they can get there, they can start running around, get some movement out, right? They can stretch, they can socialize with the kids, right? When you're thinking about just those physical attributes, you can only see what's in front. And a lot of these women, they don't realize these things because they haven't been guided, right? They're speaking as if they never took a class on this. They're speaking as if they never took a class on what it means to be in a relationship. And if they don't have a father around, and they didn't see a relationship within the household, they never got a class on it, right? And it's very important that men have to teach men how to be men, and men have to teach women how to be women, right? It can't be just a man and woman, or just a woman or just a man. It has to be both. They have to be involved in that. And what we are lacking in our community is we have a huge lack of men. We have a huge lack of men, not just fathers, but a huge lack of men as husbands with the mothers of these individuals who are coming up in this day and age. And this is a couple generations of this. We've been going through this. We've been going through a couple generations of this. So these women, they're taking and they're listening to what they hear in media. They're taking in what they're hearing on TV, because they have nothing to balance it off of. They have no context on these things. So they can go out there and say these things because it sounds good and it rhymes. And it's, and I see the girl in the movies. But if they look around, have they ever had the opportunity to be with any of these men? Do they even know what to give that man? What would you give? What would you give? What does that man even want? What would he want? Why is he going to keep you around in his life? And him being 6'2" or 6'6" with shoes on, what does that really mean when it comes to him being a provider, when it comes to him being the things you need to be? And what would he need from you? With 6'6", who has all these options? Are you prepared to compete for him? These are the things that women don't really understand and don't look into, which is the reason why they have the expectations and the desires to have these men, but they can't obtain them. They don't even know how to even get started with that.
Mr. O said that he's 6'2" and 215 pounds, lean muscle physique, and don't get any love. Brother, I promise you, continue to work on yourself. Get your passport. There are women from other countries that would see you as a god. 6'2", 215. Man, you will be seen as a high commodity in Colombia, Brazil, or even some of the African countries. I promise you, if you work on yourself, there's a greater later. And listen, it's not that men in America don't want to deal with American women, but they feel like many come to the table with taxation without representation. They expect the man to come in giving everything where she brings little. And what most women don't understand, most men want women that are chaste, fit, feminine, hopefully no children. But if she has one kid and she was married, most guys can work with that. Some can work with it, but most guys would prefer coming into a relationship with his own family. Why is it that, Todd, that so many men don't get that? Why do they don't understand or get that? But before you answer that question, I want to more or less, so Pamela Moss said, I find it amazing that the men these women raised are angry and displeased with women. I have to be honest, I don't understand. Why are fathers not responsible? Well, that's simple, Pamela Moore, because the women pick dusty men. Men are the gatekeepers to relationships, and women are the gatekeepers to sex. Unfortunately, Pamela Moss, a lot of these women were more or less lied to by liberal women, the sexual revolution, and they thought that they could do what men do. And listen, you can sleep with all the men you want, but there's a consequence. And so what they did, they got with men that were dusty and that lied to them, or some of the women kicked those men out that were decent men. And what's happened, because those boys have not been imprinted by masculine men, they have a disdain for their mothers, because some of their mothers, these men were traumatized by, because they heard their moms participate in WAP culture. You would be surprised the amount of men that tell me that they were angry when they would hear their mom having sex with different men coming in. And what that did to their psyche as a man, that's traumatizing for a man, because boys by nature, Pamela Moss, want to protect their mother. But when a boy see his mother being used as a revolving door, he hear her in her sexual pleasure, that tears a man up, because men by nature are designed to protect, but men also are designed, Pamela Moss, to more or less protect the women they love. That's why men struggle with a woman's past. We know people are human, but the more fun that she's have with different men, most masculine men, not simps, have an issue with that. Ty, what's your take on that, brother?
Yeah, you're correct. You have to understand, Pamela, that when you have a mother who's having, and my mother was single, all right? My father died before I was born, right? So, and when you mentioned that I used to have that issue too. As I started getting of age 12, 13, I started to not like other men being in the house, because men are also territorial. We're the protectors. We're the protectors naturally. It's in our blood to be that. We're not cultured to be that. It's in our blood to be that, right? So when we have these other men around, that creates a sense of anger. When we don't have a man to show us how to operate and to show us how to be around and how to give out that masculine energy in a proper form, we do it in a feminine way. That's the reason why you have a lot of violence in the Black community. Is other reasons why there's violence in the other community, right? But one of the reasons why is because these men haven't been told how to resolve their issues in a nonviolent way. They're acting extremely emotional, right? And with the power they have with the guns and all that stuff, that's what ends up happening. So you have to have masculine. You have to have a proper, healthy masculine man in the household in order for that man to become a man. And these men who are raised by women, they're going to go out there and they're going to treat women the way that the mother allowed men to treat her. That's all they see. They didn't see anything else. These men, you have to understand that we don't think of things on our own. We take in what we take in, and then we dish it out how we dish it out. That's the way it is. So our environments are creating this. It's like a factory creating these negative these negative outcomes in our people, right? You have to understand that. And I wanted to go to what Mr. O was saying, how he doesn't get any love. So to talk about the program that we have, the Move On After Betrayal program. So a guy comes into the program, he's going through a divorce, he doesn't know what's going on, like his wife wants to leave him and things like that. The first thing that we have to do is we have to help him get some emotional control. That emotional control helps him not to need to chase the woman, right? Not to need to go after her, because when a woman is breaking up with a man, the first thing the man does is he needs to fix the problem, because that's what we are as men. We're fixers, and he doesn't like the way he feels, right? He doesn't have the love in his life anymore the way he had it before, so he needs to fix that problem. We help him gain emotional control. Then we teach him about women's nature, right? And that's one of the 7 things cultural clinician talks about. You have to understand women nature. When you understand women nature, you understand how she relates. Men and women talk different languages, right? We could be speaking the same actual language, English, but we see things, feel things, and hear things differently, right? We internalize those things differently. We as men, we want to fix things. Women feel. Their feelings are more important than anything else, right? So you have to understand women's nature. When you understand women's nature, you understand how you're relating to her. So we teach them that. This way he can start communicating with her more effectively. Then we teach a man how to build himself up. A lot of times when relationships go south, it's because the man lost sight of who he is. She was attracted to him as a man because women follow men. Okay, they have to follow men because they have babies. They have baby, and every time a woman has sex, there's a chance that she can have a baby in that interaction. If she ends up having a baby by a man who can't protect her, she will die. Okay, maybe not today's world. Maybe not today's world. We have culture and we have civilization, but today's world is very brand new to us as a species, as our neurology, our biology. This whole thing that we live in is new to us. Okay, for 300, we've been modern humans for 300,000 years. Civilization is only about 10,000 years old. This modern era that we're in is only about 50, 60 years old. So that's the reason why women operate this way. She has to follow a man because she has ovaries and she has the hormones of these things. She has to be protected. If that man is not secure in who he is, she starts to feel vulnerable. She starts worrying. Is he not going to be the man I need if something happens? He's not on his path. He's not doing what he's doing. He's following after what I'm doing. He's following my lead. I don't know where to go. I don't know how to do this thing. I'm looking to him. So a man loses himself. So that's what we do in a couple of our modules. We get him to be himself, get to his friends, his hobby, identify what he needs in a woman. A man has to know what he wants in a woman. He has to tell her what he needs. He can't just go with a woman because she's pretty, got a nice ass. That's not enough. All right. Every single 100% of women have vaginas. A lot of them are pretty. That can't be enough. It has to be more than that. She has to know that she's not there just because she has a vagina and she's pretty. She has to know that she's there because she has a purpose in his life. Because if not, she's just there for the default. And if she's just there for the default, she can give that default to any man because every man would take that. But what is she in that man's life? She has to adapt to that man. Once she adapts to that man, he is her man, right? And even when she gets old, we talk about the wall, right? As women age, they hit the wall where their value starts going down. If a woman adapts to a man, she doesn't really hit the wall with that man. He sticks with her. He likes her. He doesn't see her aging in that way because she's adapt to him. That's the reason why it's supposed to be. A woman is supposed to really stay with one man. She's not supposed to be with a whole bunch of different men. And at some point, even if she's with a few men, at some point she has to stop that and stick with the man that she's with at a certain age and ride with that man. Otherwise, chances are she's going to end up here lonely and by herself. And that's no place for a woman to be in today's day and age.
I totally agree. Pamela Moss, I love and respect you, young lady. But one of the things our women struggle with, Ty, is accountability, and they love to be in what's called the victim Olympics. Pamela said that Tupac said this will happen. We're going to have a race of women who make babies and hate the ladies. And so, Pamela, in the clinical term, we would call that a thinking error. And here's why. 54% of men, based on some studies, don't have children, never been married. 29% of men that are millennials are actually virgins. So based on what you're saying, you're trying to equivocate all men to not taking care of their children, making babies, and hating women. But that's not true. What women are doing, Pamela, they're getting with the unsavory, dusty men. But what they're doing, Pamela, they are accusing all men for the injustice or the malfeasance of a certain type of men. You got to remember this, Pamela. Most women are victims of carnal hypergamy because they have not more or less been taught like their grandmothers were. Their grandmothers taught them to get married based on pragmatism or practicality. But watch this, Pamela. A lot of our women don't get married based on pragmatism or practicality. They get married based on lust. So they want the 666. And what they don't understand is that those men sometimes can be predators. Men by nature, especially the men that got power and status, can be predators. There are men that will lie to you to get between your legs. They'll drop off and they'll leave you with a baby. But that's not all men, because a lot of the men that you're talking about are the men that all women want. They did a study, Todd, where there was 3 men that got almost 86% of women pregnant. 86 women pregnant. So what that tells me is that women are designed to be survival of the fittest. They want the best man that can progenate their seed or their offspring. But a lot of times they look past good men for the sake of apex predatorial men, and then they blame all men, which is what I call death, because, Pamela, death is something that's tied to cognitive distortion. Kevin Samuels came up with something called sign language: shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. Well, I created my own term called deaf, meaning they deny the evidence. They become enraged when you present them with the evidence. They will argue the fact through an ad hominem attack, meaning they don't have any information. They're more or less punish the disseminator of the message instead of looking at the evidence itself. And then they either fight you or they flee, which lead to cognitive dissonance. And so, Pamela, until our women do the shadow work, until they look at where they have been complicit, then we're going to continue this negative cycle of blaming. The men on this panel are good men. Ty's a good man. But we do not more or less encourage or more or less justify dusty men. But unfortunately, a lot of our women like dusty men because they have been imprinted by unsavory men. And so once they get imprinted, or once you get imprinted, when a decent man come along, if you've been imprinted by a bunch of different men, then that's what you want. That's what your appetite is for. And then you got the mark of the beast, which is 666. Ty, what's your take on that, dog?
Yeah, so what she's saying is, when it comes to women and not knowing who the good man is, women weren't designed to pick their own men, right? They're not designed, because how do you know a good man is a good man, right? Because a good man is based on his ability to be able to take care of you, his ability to be able to take care of himself first and foremost. But a lot of men can easily just have nice clothes. I'm an image coach. I teach men how to dress well. You can easily just have nice clothes. You can easily just have a nice car. You can easily just have a good game, and he can get majority of the women. But because he has these options, and that's what his life is about, he can have all these women. The women don't have any protector. They have nobody protecting them, protecting their seeing that man is a savory man. The way it was in the past is you have to speak to the father. If you want to take my daughter's hand in marriage before sex, right? It was supposed to be a marriage before sex. If you want to take my daughter's hand in marriage, I have to make sure you're a good man, because I, as the father, I'm not going to be swayed by your sweet talk. I'm not going to be swayed by your nice clothes, right? I'm not going to be swayed by the fact you have a good sense of humor, right? Or you're romantic. I'm going to be looking at you as a man. And women don't know how to see a man for a man. That's the reason why women can't raise a man. She doesn't even know what to look for in a man. There's certain things that you can't understand what's under the hood, right? I could say to myself, listen, I could build a car because I know how the car looks on the outside, but I don't know the inner workings, all the wiring that goes into all the piping, all the systems that go into what it takes to make a car run, right? I'm gonna put a piece of something on top of four wheels. That's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna push it down the road. You have to understand. So this is why we have situations where women are getting with bad men. They don't know that they're bad men because they thought they were good men based on how that man treated her, because she's basing on her feelings. He felt like he was a good man. Men know this. That's why they know how to speak to women. They can say the right things to women, right? They've been designed to do this. If all the woman had was her own self to decide if a man is good, chances are she's going to get with a bad man. Okay, chances are she's not going to get the right man, especially when she's young. And what ends up happening is women get older, they start getting more mature, they start to get more wise. But what they do is they try to get hip to a man's game. They don't identify as a good man on that. They try to get hip to a man's game because they think that if she got deceived by this man, every man is trying to deceive her, right? So she's going to be looking for the deceit without looking for what's good about a man, right? Women weren't designed to be out here on their own. They weren't designed to be out here without anybody else supporting them. They're the ones who have to be supported by society. That's the reason why women are the most social. Like I said earlier, women they like drama, right? They like drama because they like the socialization of it. They socialize. They have to be social because they have to remain connected. Being connected keeps them safe as a group, right? If she's cool with this people, that person, that she'll be safe within that collection of people. If an attack happens, she's not going to be on the front lines. The man is going to be on the front lines. But when you don't have men protecting you, now you're on the front lines. Now you don't know how to be on the front lines because you're a woman. You're trying to be a woman. Being a woman doesn't allow you the skills and techniques you need to learn in order for you to be on the front line. That's something you have to learn from. You have to be socialized, and it has to be in your blood and your brain chemistry. Okay, you have to have those things. So we're not meant to be this way. We're not, we can't be the same. We were supposed to be together, right? What's the saying that you say, a coastal clinician? We were optimized, synchronized to be optimized. What's the quote?
Yes. So I said that men and women were optimized to be synchronized, meaning they were made to be in synchronicity. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. The gospel says when a man leaves his family, he cleaves unto his wife to become one flesh. They become in synchronicity. And so they become one unit like God. Sean Whitthorne said that retrograde jealousy is a real phenomenon that many males deal with when looking at a woman's sexual past. And he's correct. The more masculine and dominant a man is, he's going to struggle if you've been having a lot of fun. Men are not against, men understand that you're human. Men, we get that. But if you had a lot of fun with a lot of men, most masculine men are not going to accept that. That's why most men don't ask, or that's why some women lie. Ty, what's your take on that?
Yeah, you have to understand, like, women adapt to men. Men know this, right? If you have a woman who has a lot of men, she's been adapted to a lot of men. And this is something that brings a man down. It brings down his value, because the value of a woman is based on the type of man she can get, right? If a woman is going out here and she's working for herself and she can buy herself nice things, nice clothes, nice cars, handbags, and nice shoes and all those things, that's great. But she did that by being masculine. She did that by working, right? By focusing, determination, and drive to be able to make money to get those things. On the other hand, you have a woman who gets those things because her man got it for her. That man got those things because that woman got those things because she was being feminine. She was being a woman. She was rewarded for being a woman. That's why she got those things, right? So when you have women out here who are doing things on their own, they're adapting to these different men, and they come into a man's life, now he has to try to mold a base that's already been set in his ways by other men. You can see other men imprints. That's the reason why a lot of men have problems with single mothers. Every time that man sees that other kid, he sees another man, right? Every time she puts that kid before him, he sees her as putting another man before him, right? If you're going to come into my home and I'm going to be taking care of you, you're going to be following my lead, I want you to be there for me. Because if you're not going to be there for me, then how am I going to succeed in the way I want to succeed? I'm going to pick otherwise. And that's just the way it is. And these are things that women have to understand. It's not about you personally. It's just the way that we are as a species.
Right. You are 100% correct. It is a way that we are as a species. And that's why we have these conversations, because there's a crisis in the world. Sean James wrote a book called The Man Crisis, where he talks about the American simp, and how sometimes these simps become like that psycho simp that killed Mercedes Moore. Todd, why is it that simps like the control, or more or less controlling their emotions, in your opinion? Why do so many simps like the power to control themselves and they act out irrationally? Is it a byproduct of nature, or is it a byproduct of nurture, in your opinion?
I believe it's a byproduct of nurture. Right, I think that the men who act in simp behavior, they didn't have fathers around to show them how it should be, how things should be, right? And when you have a culture like we have a culture here in America, where you have a feminist movement, and you have women acting out in this feminist movement, now you have men are being told not to be men. They're being told to look down on, like, masculinity is a bad thing. And when you have fought, and this is for a couple of generations now, it's not just our generation. It's been happening for a couple of generations. Where if you look at the TV shows that we watch when we were growing up, you'll see that the father is a buffoon a lot of times, right? The father she knows what's right. He doesn't know where he's going. He could be very successful. He could be a doctor. He could be a police officer. But next to his wife, he's an idiot. This is what we've been showing our boys in our culture for the last 20, 30 years. So when a man is trying to be a man, he's seen as that's being wrong. He needs to give her the flowers, this Disney environment. And this is where that simp culture comes from. But this is not what a man. Women don't respond positively to this, because regardless of what they believe, regardless of what their opinions are, they're women first. They're a female human first. Before they whatever their name is, before she's Keisha and Tiffany, she's a female woman first. She's going to act based on her instincts and her nature. So when a man comes around and he's being weak, what is she going to do? She's going to poke at that weakness the reason why she's poking at that weakness is to try to have him eliminated. But he doesn't eliminate it. Instead of him trying to eliminate the weakness, he tries to stop her from poking him. He tries to be nicer to her to try to stop the poking. And this is where the simp culture is coming from.
Right, I totally agree. Listen, guys, it's 52 people that are listening. This is a great topic. This is a great show. I need you guys to get the likes up to help the algorithm. I need you guys to get the likes up. Once you get the likes up, I need you to hit the #1 button. Once you hit the #1 button, I want you to share this content to at least 5 people. Once you share with 5 people, hit the 1. I love you guys. I love what I'm doing. And as a licensed therapist, I take time out of my day to bring this content because many men are suffering in silence, Tymena Cutler, and also to the audience. And I said in the past that a hopeless man is a broken man, and a broken man is a dangerous man. And I've decided to do this show based on the divine mandate to empower as many men as I can before I leave this planet. You know, our dear friend Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews was diagnosed with testicular cancer, you know. And I call his situation perhaps an existentialist crisis. I'm going to be talking about that at some point. But also I call it the extreme urgency of now. You don't know when you're going to leave this planet. I don't want to see no man suffer in silence. But unfortunately, Ty, a lot of men are saying, listen, I'd rather die alone than to deal with the toxic behavior that they see in some of our women in America. Do you think most modern men, Ty, are ready to die alone? And based on the men that you talk to, what do they talk about as it relates to the prospects of American women? And before you answer that question, guys, I need you to also donate to $Cash App 7 Smalls. Please, Cash App $7 Smalls. Cash App $7 Smalls. If you like what I'm doing, help me grow this channel. Share this content. Help me get to 2,000. If you share the content, we'll be at 2,000 in no time. Then we can take it from 2,000 to 10,000, and we can empower not only our black men, but also our good sisters that are looking for good men. But Ty said a whole lot. I want you to answer that to the best of your ability.
Yes, and I'm taking that question from what Mr. O said regarding not going after black women and things like that. So I want men to understand this, right? The women out here who are speaking these negative things, they're a small percentage of women. All right. This is not how all women think. It's not how all women believe. Yes, the culture is out there for all of them to take in, but some of them have been raised by good families and fathers and things like that. Like I said, once a man's secure on who he is, he won't tolerate the negative energy. He won't tolerate the negative behaviors. Right. And that's what we teach men in our program. We also teach them how to date properly. And one of the things that men do is they fall in love with women too fast anyway. They fall for them too fast so they can't see it from who they truly are. You have to understand that women adapt to men. When you get with a woman and you first meet a woman and she likes you, she's going to do everything she can that she believes that you like. So she could not like sports when she met you, but if you like sports, she's going to start liking sports. Like I said earlier, she don't teach you how to do any moves in the bedroom. She follows whatever you tell her to do. Women are always following after us. So it's important for you to build yourself up. Once you build yourself up and you start to be secure in who you are, you just won't tolerate the negative behavior from women. But when you understand how to get women with no problem, you can just be in front of a few, be in front of a lot. And they say, okay, you're not the one I need. You hold your ground, and she'll either have to adapt to what you want or she has to go. And you have to be very clear in that. You have to be very clear that I will walk away from this if this is how you're acting and behaving. Now, yes, there is a movement, the BMO movement of men going abroad and finding wives, because in other countries the women have been cultured different, right? This feminist movement is not so big in these other cultures, so you're going to have a better situation. However, these are still women. They're still women, so it's still important for you to be secure in who you are as a man. Once you're secure in who you are as a man, then a lot of times a lot of women haven't really seen a man. They haven't really seen a true masculine man because, like we said earlier, younger men, if they're trying to get in between a woman's legs, they will lie. Okay, they will lie. They will be deceitful. They won't be themselves. They will tap dance for her. She could see that. But what else? What are her other options? Right? He's not bad. What are her other options? When you start becoming more secure man, it becomes a lot more easy to disseminate these women from each other. And it's very important that we look at it in that way. It starts with us because they follow us. They follow men, right? They don't really follow our words. They follow our actions. So it's very important that you as a man become secure in who you are, and you're sunken in that. right? And you know, once you're secure in who you are, you attract women like a moth to a flame. You can't beat them. You know, you can't beat the woman off you once you're in that way. I'll just say that.
No, I agree with that, Todd. Omega Male Revelation said that most black women, especially the young ones, can't handle a good man. They know that dysfunctional behavior won't be allowed. Also, good men are boring and good men don't bring excitement. And see, he's right. Listen, most women of the past understood that in a relationship, in a family, that they had to be practical. It was about being practical and survival. It wasn't about having fun, hot girl summer. It wasn't about that. And so they came into the marriage tie already trained to be wise, and it was about duty. That's why when men travel abroad, when black men travel abroad, we understand that women are universally the same. But when they travel abroad, they're not more or less indicted by the incessant hedonistic behavior or WAP culture that we see in America. And because a lot of those countries have men that are very patriarchal, the women more or less adhere to that masculine order. Women are designed to look up to a man. And as I said earlier, they only respect power and strength. Like I said, I'm 6'6", 6'5", 6'6" with shoes on. I'm a big dude. I'm about 285 pounds. If you saw me in person, I would look like Shaq, even though Shaq is 7 feet. But women tend to gravitate to that. But most men are not my height. I am an anomaly. It's not a lot of me. I'm rare. And so because women have a condition called carnal hypergamy, they don't do things based on practicality, which comes from their fathers. Because when girls are with dads, most men tend to think practical instead of thinking with their feelings. But with 73% of our children born in single parent homes, which become an epidemic, a lot of our women pick guys based on bad choices and also bad decisions. And unfortunately, Ty, a lot of our culture, especially the black culture, would more or less take swag over substance. You're from New York. Tell me how swag played a role in women being impacted by the mark of the beast living in New York.
Well, like I said, I'm an image coach. So I dress well every single day. I'm rare in that regard. I'm usually the best dressed guy around. I go to a concert and still be the best dressed guy there. Now, that means that I'm pretty handsome, right? So that means that women are attracted to me. They come up to me. They want to talk to me. They want to get to know who I am. But that's all it takes, really. That's all it takes, that and some good words and being smooth, and they see that as a man being secure on who he is, right? Because my image is strong. I know who I am, right? So these are things that attract women. The thing is that as a man, the men out there who are listening to this, you have to understand that yes, you want women too, right? You want women. However, every single one of them have the ability to give you sex. Every single one of them. Right? You have to be more picky when it comes to this. And when you're a man who's able to get these options, you want to get to a point where you have the options. You want to get to a point where you're attracting women so that you could be picky, right? So you can be picky and you could say who I really want in my life. I turn down women all the time, right? I just turn stuff down a lot of times because I can be more picky and choosy about what I want. That's where a man wants to be. And as a man, you have to understand what a good woman is too. Right. But the only way you can understand what a good woman is to understand why is a woman in your life in the first place? Like, what do you bring a woman into your life for in the first place? It's not just for sex. It's not just for kids. Right. So because women have a lot more value than that. And that's another thing, too, when you have situations where there aren't men in the household, men in the community, the women don't even realize what their role is beyond the they don't realize what their value is. They also don't realize how to mature for their whole life. They want to be shaking their rumps at 40 or trying to compete with young women. That is not the way women are supposed to evolve into womanhood, right? You have to understand that women, if they have kids and in their 20s, they raise a child to adulthood. Now the way it's supposed to be is they take that value, their education, that knowledge, and give it to the rest of humanity, because they raise a child, a human being, from zero to adulthood. That's knowledge. That's the reason why at a certain point, women can no longer have kids. Nature made it that way. Okay. Nature also made it where women get older and men aren't attracted to women who look older. Nature made it that way as well. It's not the same way for men, right? Women are still attracted to older men. It's not based on these things. So when we look at how it is in nature, we realize where we're screwing up, where we've been operating extremely dysfunctional in our behavior in the Black community because we don't have men, right? We have an off balance. When you have an off balance in that way, you start having all of these different situations where people believe that you can just sleep whatever anyone you want and it's all good, right? Women believe you can have kids with multiple men and it's all good because no one told them, no one that they respected told them you shouldn't be doing that. And if they weren't raised by a man, meaning that they have a man in their life who loved them and cared for them, who didn't want anything from them, they genuinely loved them, cared for them, had compassion for them, and someone that they respected. If they never had that, they don't know how to operate with a man, a true man who's going to require that from them. They've never experienced that. So they're not necessarily good women. And that's the reason why a lot of men are going to other countries. It's unfortunate for our women. It's unfortunate for our women, but this is the reason why this stuff is happening. A masculine man requires a masculine woman in order for him to succeed in life. If he has a woman who is masculine, now he's going in tug of war in his own house. And if he's fighting in his own house, he can't relax and recharge so he can go out there and fight another battle, especially if he's a Black man in this country that's being hostile towards us. We need our woman more than anyone else, and we don't have that. And you have to understand there are outside forces that's been dividing us. Women don't really see that because they think in their emotion, they're moment to moment, but men are seeing that. Men realize these things, right? And the only way that our women can understand this is if they have a man who they trust and believe. And if you create a situation where women don't like men or they don't trust men, they lose out all of this knowledge and guidance, and they're allowing themselves to be guided by other women. And women inherently don't know what they want because they're designed to adapt. They're designed to become whatever the man wants, right? That's the reason why they don't have a strong direction on where they want to go. Think about it. Women don't lead other women. Women don't lead other women inherently, and men don't follow women inherently, right? That's the way nature made it. It's supposed to be the men. This is the natural way. We try to go against what's natural, and we start having these issues and problems.
Community Solutions Pro said the question is, what percentage of men out here are trying to take care of women 100%? And, Community Solution Pro, I think you are sincere. But I'm going to share something with you, dear. Masculine men are not going to take care of women 100%. They do not meet their requirements and standards. What men and women forgot is that women that got taken care of 100% 50 to 60 years ago were wife ready, and they were virgins, and they didn't have other men's children. And so those women got taken care of 100% because that was the norm. The exchange for a man taking care of her 100% was a virgin, no children, and she was trained by her mother and grandmother to be wife ready. But as I said earlier, many women are complicit with a terminology that I called taxation without representation, and my man Rick Scorpio called it taxation without cooperation. And I like that as well because many women come in expecting to be served, but they don't come in expecting to serve the man. And masculine men are not going to settle for that because they don't have to. Masculine men are dominant and they're very territorial. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Masculine men don't like to have the thought of multiple men messing with something that he deems to be worthy. That's why guys tend to cherish a car that has low miles. And I know that's something a lot of our women don't like to hear, but that's a reality that you have to deal with. The gospel said that the bride prepared herself for the bridegroom. She prepared herself. How did she prepare herself? She was chaste, but she also was bride ready. And many of our women are not bride ready, but they expect men to give them bride worthy elements. And what men are saying, what do I get? Because Teddy Pendergrass said it better than me. It's so good to love somebody and somebody to love you back. And a lot of men are getting frustrated. Now listen, guys, I love you guys. You guys are doing an awesome job. I see you got the likes up to 55. I need you to share this content to at least if 5 people can share this content with 5 people and hit the one as this show is going on. I got something for you guys. You guys can help me get to 2,000. Also, guys, if you have not donated, please donate to $7 Smalls. Please donate to $7 Smalls. Now listen, guys, I want to share something with you in a minute. You guys are doing an awesome job. I love the guys to listen to this content. I love empowering Black men, but I also love empowering our women. To the women that are going to listen and going to try to understand where men are coming from, you might have hope. But unfortunately, unfortunately, some of our women are going to be singing that song by Patti LaBelle, On My Own, because some of you ladies would not more or less choose to change from some of the negative behaviors that you've been imprinted by. So thank you for that question, Community Solution Pro. Omega Solution said, main issues is black women don't want a good man till they're past 35. He's correct. With baggage and regret. By that time, the good men their age have options, marry or have standards, and they eliminate them. And he's correct. How many men, when they were growing up in high school, were chided by a woman? But like my man said back then, they didn't want me. Now hot chicks, they all on me. When men, if they work hard, become better versions of themselves. Men tend to age like fine wine when they have money and resources. So, a 49, 45-year-old man with his stuff together, he can get a 25-year-old woman. He can get a 28-year-old woman. And Ty, you date younger women. I want you to talk about that. I hope they don't excoriate you. But Ty, you date younger women. And I want you to tell the audience in a minute why dating women bring you so much joy. I want you to tell the audience why dating younger women bring you so much joy. So go ahead, Ty.
Yeah. So one of the most important things for me, when I became single 4 years ago, I came, my son's mom is Spanish, right? So her and I met when I was in my early 20s, like 21. We just stayed together for a long time. And when I got out that relationship, I said, I definitely need to get with a black woman only, right? Like I only date black women. I have no desire. I can't even really look at. I just don't have no interest or attraction to other women the older I get. And so when I started to come out here and I started dating women, I was dating women my age, and it was weird because their achievements, we're in our 30s, our mid 30s, their achievements, they believe that their achievements gave them some type of leg up, that I should be more attracted to them because they have achieved X, Y, and Z. And it almost seemed like they were kind of competing with me. Right. And so that wasn't cool. And then, when we would get intimate, their bodies weren't what I was expecting. Right. Their bodies weren't what I was used to when I was out here earlier. So I started to date younger women, and I realized that the younger women, one, they start off with a sense of respect and admiration for me because of the age difference. Right. They value what I'm saying. They're learning. They're more open to learn. They're more adaptable. Right. They're not molded. They haven't went through so many relationships where they're have all these stories about how men are doing them wrong and all these things. They don't have any kids, or I don't date, young women who have kids, or they don't have any kids, so they don't have these issues that they're going through, and they like to have fun. They're giddy, they're youthful. These are the types of things that a man wants, because, like I said, the man wants the woman to adapt to him, right? When she's giddy and she's fun and she has a good time and all these things and she's happy, that's what men are attracted to. Because as a man, I'm trying to focus. I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing, my career, the stuff that I'm doing. And if I'm in a situation with a woman that's bringing me down, stressing me out, or if with older women, they want to lock you in pretty soon too, because their clock is ticking. Like Coach Clinician said, men, we grow like fine wine. That's how we advance. That's how we age. But women, they age like milk, right? Their time, they don't have a long time spent as us. So once they get to a certain age, they have to lock something in, or they have a potential to be single forever. Women know this. They know this inherently. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the reality of it. It's not, we didn't make it that way. That's how nature made it. It's not our decision. We can't choose. We can't tell ourselves to be attracted and just be attracted. Ask any woman, can you just be attracted to a guy because you want to be? It doesn't work that way, right? So when I date younger women, I have a much better time with them, right? It's just much better for me, and I have no issues, right? They don't see age from me. They don't see, it's just a fun time. But I could never, and I'm in a position now where I don't think I would ever date women who are older than 20. I said like 26. Nothing older than 26, I don't believe. And I'm 40. And it's because I think that the women who are older, they're already molded, right? They've already been set in their ways. It's like trying to buy used shoes, right? If the shoes have been worn for a couple of years, it has these creases in them that's going to hurt your feet when you put your feet in them. You're not going to break in old shoes. And that's how I feel with a lot of older women. Now, does that mean that all women are doomed? No, that doesn't mean all women are doomed. There is a way for women to understand. She can understand how she can adapt to a man, understand how to gracefully go into womanhood, right? And one of those things is not trying to compete with younger women with your looks and your body parts. That, because here's the one thing that older women have that younger women don't have. Older women could be elegant, right? Older women can have a sense of knowledge and wisdom that younger women can have. And she can impact that on her man. She has a bigger network. If she can impact that on the man she's with, she becomes more valuable to that man. But if she's just trying to be pretty, trying to shake her butt, trying to do all these things and all that, she cannot compete with younger women. It just don't work. It don't compute in the man's mind, right? So that's what I like to say when it comes to that. Women, there is a lack of femininity because there's a lack of masculinity in the Black community, right? And if you take out masculinity, the women have to become masculine because masculine comes first, right? Masculine is needed for protection. When you don't have masculinity, the women become masculine, which means that all the men or the boys, they become more feminine, right? It's a yin and yang when it comes to that. So I date younger women, and that's the closest thing for me to going overseas, right? And some people mention that you be careful about going overseas because the women could try to take advantage of you as well. Think about it. The women who are here, who are trying to take advantage of men. Let's say you do get the child support. Let's say you do get the alimony. Are you having a happy life? Right? Your life is not happy because the money is okay. You still need a man. A lot of times when I talk to men in the program and they say the woman is leaving them, that woman she's leaving them because she want to find herself. What does she end up doing? She end up leaving him and finding another man to be with. Women don't find themselves by exploring the world the way a man would be on his own for a few years. Women have to, that's their nature, to be with someone they can follow and look up to. Okay, she has to be. That's just her nature. So she's going to go towards that. You want to make sure that the woman you have in your life, that she likes being there first. She likes being with you. It's not about being controlling. And the men who have money and all these things, there's ways for you to be exciting without being a gangster. You know what I mean? And the only way you do that is by being secure in who you are. Whatever that is, be the best you that you can be. That's all you have to do as a man. Mute it.
She said that younger men need older men to be the givers of wisdom. They shouldn't be out here 50 trying to have kids with 20-year-olds. Tom, I'm going to let you get that in a minute. And listen, I understand your point, Community Solution Pro, but what you don't understand there is that a lot of younger women want older men. They want older men for the wisdom. They want older men for the provision and the protection. That's why I said there's a such thing called relationship symmetry. Women tend to marry for security, protection, maintenance, and also provision. Wisdom is a form of provision. But men tend to marry for youthfulness, chasteness, cooperation, being fit and feminine, because it's a perfect complement. If you think about it from theology, and a lot of people don't see it this way, Adam was here years before Eve. So if you look at it through the lens of chronology, Adam could have been 100, but Eve probably was like 1 or 2 when he married her, because Adam was here years before Eve got here. So Adam had a younger woman, but here's what Adam gave Eve. He gave her a kingdom. He gave her dominion. He gave her protection. He gave her insight. He gave her wisdom until he became a conscious self. So Adam was already with a younger woman. Adam had a young, fertile. Eve probably was fine. Eve probably was a black woman from Africa. I think she was black. And she probably had perky breasts and wide hips. She had kosher hips. And so a lot of women get mad at it, but I'm not against older men dating younger women as long as he can provide for her, take care of her, and he's in good shape. I just don't believe in predatory men. And you know, the crazy thing is we don't say nothing where older women like Jada Pinkett deal with younger men. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Thank you guys for getting the likes up. You guys are doing an awesome job. I love you guys. You guys are doing an awesome job. I have some more things I want to show you guys, but you guys have not donated to the Cash App. So please donate to Cash App $7 Smalls. I want the men to listen to this. This is something about Jada Pinkett. Has Jada Pinkett been impacted by WAP culture? I want you to listen.
I'm going to be all the way 100 with you, bro. This damn woman is literally playing with Will Smith at this goddamn point, bro. Like, she literally playing with this man's life at this point, bro. Like, at this point, you realize they just let Will Smith just be free at this point, bro. It's like, you literally playing with this man, bro. Like, you are so toxic. I'm going to be 100, Jada. Like, you are toxic as hell, bro. This is the most toxic women bullshit that I've ever seen in my life, bro. Like, really? Look at the life that y'all done had, and you gonna say on your 50th birthday, you wanna know how to love, bro. Are you serious, dog? Like, really, bro? Then you had the affair with August Alsina, and then it's funny, too, because of your role on Girls Trip was you being a mom who's always focused on being a mom, and then you end up meeting a young, sexy, flexy nigga, and then, you see what I'm saying, you got your groove back and all the rest of that. Like, that was kind of too close on the damn money, come to find out. You actually did all of that in person, bro. Come on, now, like, that like, Jada, bro, you, and then Willow, you are the most annoyingest celebrity kid ever. Like, Willow, you be on there forcing. You act like you understand what everybody that comes on there and talk on the red table with. Y'all, you make it seem like you just understand everything. Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's all you do the whole time people talking to you and your mama and grandma, bro. You don't be understanding shit. Like, you rich as hell, my nigga. I'm not saying that Will Smith ever put y'all through anything, bro. But you rich as hell, bro. You be wanting to understand so damn bad, bro. You be wanting to relate so damn bad, Willow. Like, sit down somewhere, bro. You are a force. Then that whole Letter to Tupac stuff, like, bro, what is wrong with you, Willow? Don't you understand if it wasn't for your dad being the Fresh Prince, you wouldn't have a life that you have, my nigga? Are you not understanding that, bro? Like, that's the part that be killing me about Willow, bro. Now, Jada, you is doing the most too, and you get on my last nerve. But Willow, you been on my nerves, bro. Like, Willow, you need to stop, bro. Like, and then you look exactly like, you look just like Will Smith, bro. Like, so what are you talking about? What is you writing a letter to Tupac for? Knowing Tupac gone. Even if he not. You ain't met Tupac a day in your life, Willow. So that's what, like, it's pitiful, bro. But again, like I said, Jada, you really need to stop, bro. You being toxic as hell, and you teaching these other women in this world that look up to y'all and watch y'all red table talks that it's okay for a man to do everything for you his whole life, but then when you somehow get depressed, you can come back years later and say, he never loved me. I need to learn how to love. Like, it's annoying, bro. Like, this women empowerment bullcrap is getting up to my nerves, dog. Like, damn, cuz.
And that's the problem. Taxation without representation and the mental breaking of the American male. It can never be enough. And it appears that Jada Pinkett has been impacted or imprinted by WAP culture. She got a man that will more or less exude the mark of the beast. Will Smith is 6 feet. I'm sure he got over 6 inches and a six pack. And he damn near got more than 6 figures. But I've always said, Ty, that if Jesus himself came, some women would have something wrong. They would find something wrong with Jesus. They would say, there's something wrong with Jesus, and Jesus is perfect. Because our women have been impacted by carnal hypergamy. I want to add something to what Pamela Moss said. And Pamela, I think your heart is right, but I want to challenge your thinking. I hear all you guys saying go overseas to find love. It seems like you guys forget the intense everywhere. These women are well aware of the laws. They can't wait to get you guys good luck. Well, people always look at it from a negative perspective. They always assume that when guys go overseas, that these women want to use them. I'm going to say this. Women in America want to use men. Women in America seek to take advantage of men. But here's the difference with women abroad versus women in America. Women in abroad have been trained to love their men and to honor their men. And one of the biggest fallacies, because I came back from with the BMO group, I came from Brazil. One of the biggest fallacies is that those women just want you for your money. All women want men for money. That's a universal principle. As I said, women universally are all the same. It doesn't matter where you get them from. All women want provision, protection, and maintenance. But one of the biggest myths, Ty, is that, they only want you for a green card. That's a lie. Most women, a lot of the women from foreign countries don't want to come to America. They want to stay in their native country. And while there's a small percentage that might want to use men, most guys are saying the odds are better traveling overseas versus dealing with toxic American women. And see, that goes back to a terminology called solipsism, where most women only see men as commodities to more or less empower them instead of coming into the relationship to empower that man. Why do women always use that default mechanism, Ty? And I know why, because women by nature are insular, but why do they always use that default mechanism when men say they want to find love abroad? Can you hear me? So I think Ty's having technical difficulties. But yeah, so most guys get into relationships for a myriad of reasons. They don't just deal with foreign women just because they're foreign. Most guys want women that are going to be cooperative. Like my man Sean Whitehorn. Him and I, we were over in Brazil together. We're going to be in the movie. I'm going to be in the movie Frustrated 3. Now, while Todd's getting his internet ready, I want someone, if anyone want to come on to add to this conversation, please do. But before I do that, I'm going to also tell you why most men want women that respect themselves. But Todd, why do women always default to that mechanism? Oh, they only want you for your money, or be careful, or they're going to use you. Why that always that default mechanism, in your opinion?
Right, because so one of the most important things you got to understand is that when women see men leaving, that's their pool getting smaller. Okay, and that there's a fear around that. Like I said, women weren't designed to be on their own. They care more about what the man is doing. If the man is leaving their pool, if the man doesn't like them, if the man doesn't want to be with them, they care more about those things, right? And like you're right, women here in America are using men, in worse ways, taking their kids from them, abusing them, taking their money, their house. And this is not just Black women. This is women in general. I've spoken to over 1,000 men. Actually, I got to go in like 2 minutes, literally, because I got a call at 3:00. So this is happening to men all over the place. And one thing that you said was correct. The women from the other countries, yes, they also want provisions too, because they're still women. They need protection as well. The difference is that they give that man more than a woman here in our country, generally speaking, right? They're giving that man more. They're giving the man stuff that he doesn't even realize he needs, because that's what feminine energy is, right? Just like I say, a lot of women believe if they have money, they're fine. They don't need a man because they have money. This is what feminism has taught them, but that's not all men are for, right? They're not only for money and sex. They're for so much more. A woman can't properly be a woman without a man in her life, because how would she be able to be truly feminine if she got to do masculine things on a day-to-day basis? How would she be able to know how to fit in a man's life? Would she know how to truly be the feminine her, the caring, the giving, the loving, the nurturing, if she doesn't have a man making sure that all the hard stuff is being taken care of? She cannot be a true full woman if that's happening. When you have this country where you're dividing the men and the women, then you have a bunch of women who they don't even know what true femininity is. They believe that's a negative thing. You talk to women about, being a feminine woman, and they think that's weak. I'm not weak. I'm not. They see it as negative things because they've been taught that. Is unfortunate in our country. But true masculine men need feminine women. The guys who went to Brazil, it was like Disneyland to them. And it's not just about sex, because sex is all over the place. 100% of women have vaginas. It's not just about sex. It's not just about the woman are prettier and all that stuff. There is a different aura and energy that men get when they go to these countries, when they have truly feminine women. And our women are missing that. They don't realize they're missing that. They want to hold their men. But in order for you to hold the men, you have to realize you got to get your stuff together too. You got to see where the issues are within your own operation. And you have to look at your other sisters and say, hey, wait a minute, maybe that's not right. Maybe we can with people, Black people, speaking of the situation that we're in this country is together. Okay, men and women have to come together. If we can't come together, we will always be victims to racism in this country. We will always be in a situation where we are in this country. So women have to understand these things. And that's the reason why, unfortunately, men are going to other countries to try to find these women. And I got to run, brother, because I got a call like literally 1 minute. So I got to take a call. If I could jump back in, I'll jump back in. You muted.
Thank you for your insight, Ty. I'm going to drop the link to bring some guys in, but we can also finish this discussion. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Ty. I want to send a special shout out to my dear friend Kelly. Thank you, dear. And also I want to thank my man Antoine for the $10 super chat. And Kelly, thank you guys. This conversation is very powerful. And at some point, I want some of the men and the women to join the panel and talk about why WAP culture has impacted men and women. But before we do that, let's go do a couple of the comments because these comments are powerful. Truth Over Emotion says that Jesus got to show up with Jordans on, a Gucci belt, a Atlanta hat, and a Lambo, or black woman ain't going to give him a call. Call him dusty ass broke nigga. If he don't got swag, they trolling with him, shaking my head. And brother, unfortunately, you are correct. You are 100% correct. That's how a lot of our women see a lot of our men. It's not right. But unfortunately, that's why a lot of our women see our men, and that's why men are traveling abroad. They're traveling abroad to find love. As a man makes his money, as he begins to grow, he tend to get with women that are going to celebrate him instead of tolerating him. And while men know that women are universally the same wherever they go, they are going for women that support them and give them love. I'm going to add something, guys. I'm going to finish the conversation. I'm going to drop the link at some point. But I want to finish this conversation. This is a conversation I had with my man Guapo from Beautiful Lies. And we were talking about how men see women and what they want in relationships. So hold tight. I'm going to let you guys see that. And we're talking about the female imprint and how that impacts women.
Okay, so here comes the argument, that you hear white people say, hey, I've never owned any slaves.
Right.
Okay, modern white people. Yet you kind of you are benefiting from that slavery. Right. To the ladies, you may not have personally made that shift, even though that's going to be a hard argument to make with social media and stuff like that and the days of Tinder and everything. But you are complicit to your gender. I will say that.
Right.
So can you get into the three examples you just gave? The penetration principle and stuff?
Right.
I'm going to shut up.
So we're going to talk about all three. And, when I broach this topic, some get it and some don't get it. But let's look at the sexes, right? So men by nature struggle with the thought of another man penetrating a woman that he cares about.
Yes.
Because in his mind, she's been conquered. And in his mind, he's seen images of her, scratching a man and grabbing a man. But watch this. It's a reverse dynamic to it. A man don't really care as much if he found out his woman had a bisexual relationship. He doesn't struggle with that as much. He might not like it, but he doesn't struggle with it as much. But on the flip side, because it is a reverse dynamic, because the sexes are not congruent and or symmetrical, most women can't handle the fact of a man being penetrated by another man. Am I talking right? That's why many women are repelled if a man said, I've had a sexual liaison, because a woman wants to look up to her man. He's a king. But when that woman's mind, if that man was in a submissive position to another man, it's like a diminished, his power is being diminished. So how can she look up to him if he's had sex with another man? Her mind can't handle that. That's why most women, I've known women go out, they were lesbians themselves, and they said they won't deal with a man that had a sexual liaison with another man. Well, on the flip side, because it's a reverse dynamic, because the sex is not congruent, he can't have the thought of another man entering his woman, because in his mind, he's the only one that's supposed to knock on that door. It's crazy how we're wired, but this is how we're wired.
That is such a good analogy, bro. Right. And I've never thought about it like that. Right. But if you ever want to explain to a woman why it bothers a man, so who's in the news right now? I don't know if you've been following this Brittany Renner thing and stuff like that. And she's constantly talking about she shouldn't be judged for her past and the number of men that she slept with and stuff like that. But boy, if you pose it like that and you have the man on man and how a woman views that, that's clip that, put it on your channel. I'm gonna clip it and put it on mine too. That
I'm gonna definitely clip it.
That is dope. Right. Okay. Well, keep rolling. What about the open box?
So the open box. Okay, so Guap, you're a bright man. It's something called the law of diminishing return, right? And so watch this. So just imagine, because you got your brain was I was thinking this like you, Best Buy. So say if you get a box, right? And we use box to talk about a woman's vagina. We use the word box. Mm-hmm. But think about a box. And so say if you go to Best Buy to get a box, you open that box up one time, right? And then you put the box back on the shelf. Every time you open that box or somebody that comes behind you and open that box, guess what happens? The product actually diminishes. It's not as valuable because that box has not only been opened, but if they take the product out and sample it, then the person is saying, I'm not going to pay full price for a product that's been tampered with. And that's how some men feel about, when you talk about the whole paying all bills. There are some men that say, I'm not paying all the bills for a woman that's had a lot of fun. Most men say, I'll pay all the bills for, it's almost like based on percentage. If she's a virgin, she gets 100%. If she got, say, 10, she might get 80% or whatever. But the point is, for every partner she get, her stock goes down precipitously. That's sexual market value. Yeah. And so what men are saying is that, look, I'm not paying for a price if you've had a lot of fun, because in that man's mind, what's special about it? It's not special about it. And so that's why men are so repelled by it. And see, what women don't understand is that their greatest virtue back in the past was their femininity. But then you look at the Bible in Titus 3:5, it said women be chaste and be honorable and obedient to your husbands. And so when a woman is at her best, then she'll put it in a way that a man can be at his best. If he's a masculine man, if he's a simp or a beta male, they don't care. They'll take anything. They're scavengers. Right. But if they're high value men, like
bargain hunters,
right? They're bargain hunters. I remember my granddad told me, "Guap," he was a country boy, and he said, "Look, if you see a dog, his tail is as long as my arm," he said, "he ain't worth a damn." So what my granddad was basically saying, it's not a pedigree dog, it's a mutt. So a mutt is synonymous to a simp. He doesn't have any prevailing values or principles. But a pedigree dog is very different. Pedigrees want the best. And so every time that box is opened up and that product is taken out and been tampered with, the value diminishes. Because you know what I'm talking about. When you go to Best Buy, they'll give you a discount.
They will give you a discount.
They're going to give you a discount. But see, some, not all, shout out to the good women, because I'm not here to condemn the sisters. I love you guys. But shout out, but we're trying to give you guys some raw truth into how men really think. But many want taxation, without representation. They want taxation without representation. They want to tax the American male, but they don't want to represent him in a way that he feels honored.
Oof.
And so the American man wants to feel honored, but he doesn't feel honored because he's being taxed, but he's not getting a high return on his investment. And so that's why a lot of guys are saying, what's special about it? Sex now has become so easy to men, it lost its value. The first time, Guap, you and I probably saw a porn magazine. We saw some pubic hairs and breasts. Our minds were warped, because it was something that was hidden. It was mysterious. But there's no mystery to it now. So if you see a naked body, you don't really trip as much as maybe you did the first time you saw your friend. Am I right or wrong?
You're absolutely right.
The more naked bodies you see, it's like whatever. You don't even take it serious.
I call it the diminishing return.
It's a diminished return, right?
All right. So I want you guys to add to the conversation. I see Community Solutions. Introduce yourself. Mr. O and Omega Male. So I want you guys to add to this conversation. Unmute yourself. Community Solutions. Mr. O and Omega Male. Has WAP culture impacted many women, and are many women wife ready? So I want you to answer the question. Community Solutions. You've been saying a lot in the comments. So I want you to add to the conversation, please.
Oh yes, thank you for having me on your panel.
Yes, ma'am.
I do believe that WAP has negatively. Is my sound okay to you?
Yeah, it's a little off, but you're fine.
Okay, I'm sorry. What about now?
Yes, ma'am. You're fine. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So it has impacted the culture. What I see a particular type of woman getting all the attention and the other women getting ignored. So what in earlier years, what would have been considered to be good wife material, those women are passed by. So I'm 48, so I was able to see people who were married. I still got people in my family who are married for 60 years, and the women, if you're gonna rate them, they may not be even a 7. They may only be a 5 or maybe a 4, but they were good women. You know what I mean? Like when they met their husbands, they were most likely virgins. They only had children by them. But that is not valued now. That's why you have all this rhetoric about dating single mothers and dating. You know what I mean? It's not the same value system.
So I'm trying to get your logic. What your logic is, I want you to reframe your question. You have a lot of static in the background, dear. If you can turn it down, there's a lot of static in the background.
Oh shoot. Okay.
But you have a lot of noise in the background. But so what are you? I'm trying to get what you're saying. Are you saying that there was a time when women were savory, and those men then they look past those women. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, well, I'm from Louisiana, so
Right.
it was a different a criteria of picking,
Right.
and the different times too as well. If you look at black people who were born in the South in a certain time, like the 30s or the 40s, there was a different. I think somebody else is unmuted too. There is a different picking criteria for picking spouses.
Right.
But I was able to see strong marriages of people who struggled together. They achieved, they got what they needed to get for their families, and they thrived even in the face of Jim Crow. So what I see is different now is rap culture has brought about, yes, they brought about the WAP culture, but if you have female rappers who are not pushing that, they're not promoted. The ones who are pushing, this girl, Cardi B, she got like, what, 70, 80 million people on her Instagram following her?
Right.
I mean, so it's like, in the state of Louisiana, there's only 3 million people to give you some perspective. So, I think that the WAP culture is negatively affecting young women. They feel as if to get the attention, they got to go out, get all this plastic surgery and all this other stuff. So I think that it's like it's warped, and also they don't really want to hear from older women like myself. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
in their mind,
Right.
we don't know anything. Well, look at your
Right.
life. You didn't. Listen, I can learn from a scholar. I can learn from a billionaire. I can learn from a crackhead. Everybody got something to teach me. That's how I look at life. But to them, if you're not pushing a Mercedes, you're not, jet setting and going to these islands and things like that and living it up, then you know nothing.
I see where I think I see where you're going at. I want Mr. O, Mr. Unmute yourself, brother, and Omega. I want you guys to join the conversation. Unmute yourself, guys. Mr. O, you're 6'2". You seem like you're fit. Has WAP culture, in your opinion, impacted American women? You have a lot of static in the back, brother. I don't know if that's Omega Male or Mr. O. But then you guys' best estimate, have WAP culture impacted American women? And are American women now suffering the recompense of their era, in your opinion?
Well, I'll go first. I am in decent shape. You know what I'm saying? I got to go ahead and hit the gym, get in better shape, but that's not neither here nor there. But
right, same here.
I have basically I'll say eclectic background, far as like, because my father is 52 years older than me. He's from the silent generation, and basically my mother, she was a boomer, so it was an age gap relationship already there amongst them. So different ideologies, different upbringings. Both was from the South, so I'm an early millennial male. So I was raised in a 2-parent household up until I was about 8 years old, up until my mom passed away, and my father he just became a lifelong bachelor afterwards. So me, basically, I only seen just in the early part of my adolescence how the relationship was supposed to be. In my eyes, because both my parents worked, they both found a way to work with each other, and them being more older, mature individuals, they actually found like some kind of common ground, and it was actually get along with each other. Me being raised in that environment, now I'm trying to go out here and try and date my peers. My peers are parents who was basically born in the boomers and early generation X type of environment, so their parents is basically dysfunctional.
Right.
So when I grow up with functional, logical movements and trying to move past, they think I'm boring, a square. Even though I grew up in the same type of environment as they do, I'm like, why would you want to go and participate in this crap? You already seen what's going to happen. They can never, ever give me, women around my age group, young and old, they can never, ever give me no logical answer. Only thing they can tell me is it's just a culture. This is how we supposed to do it. That's how we, this is all we know. This is how I feel. And I'm like, so you mean tell me, and that's when I had finally woke up. I was like, so you mean tell me that you're willing to invest into your destruction and dysfunction and want somebody like me that y'all don't like, don't want to listen to, ignore to come and fix y'all problems for how long? And that's why I walked away from the community, just with that logic. Both men and women. I look, and especially black men, I look at them like, so you mean tell me that despite we listen to Tupac and all that good stuff, I'm talking about millennial gentlemen. We listen to Tupac. We listen to NWA. We listen to Boyz II Men. The Simps, all we have to do is that disrespect women. So say, now, them dudes still getting the women. Now, us dudes that don't live that type of way, us hardworking dudes that was in the church or do follow on some type of religious doctrine and rhetoric that actually trying to go ahead and live in an up mobility lifestyle that this country offers, we are looked down upon. We ignore it. We're not even sought after until these women are basically ran through, got a gang of kids, have bad emotional and mental baggage, and they was conditioned from a long time ago to not even respect a man of that caliber, even if they do get one. I say that we are back in the 1920s. The flapper girls are now what the whopper girls are. Yeah, and I love when women, especially Generation X women, like to go ahead and use old past relationships and old people in their family. Like my grandma been married for 50-some, 60-some years. My parents been married for 20-some, 30-some years. I want to go ahead and ask these women. I want them to ask them what was their grandmamas doing. Not they. I want them to ask their grandmother what was their grandmother's like. I guarantee you they would be like they didn't know them or they was whores. Just like the one we have today. Just like them. So, hey, I look at this like, look, if you learn history and understand it, you just move accordingly. Just leave these women be, and hopefully, I hate to say it, I don't even want to be like my father. I ain't want to have no kids in my 50s and stuff like that, but evidently, that's what's probably going to end up happening. You muted,
Yeah, there's a brother from Chicago called Dennis John Pierre. He's actually in Brazil. And he left Chicago to find a wife outside of the confines of America. So I tell men, go where you're celebrated instead of being tolerated. And, you know, if you find a woman in America that treats you well, so be it. But men, you guys have the power. You guys have the power. When you stand up for what you want and what you believe in, when you work on yourself, work on your body, work on your money, get your passport, or just stay single, you determine the outcome of relationships. Men are the gatekeepers to relationships, and women are the gatekeepers to sex. But it appears that some of our women have given their virtue away, and they're giving their virtue away to unsavory men. Now, those women have been imprinted by the mark of the beast, and every good man that come in their life now, Mr. O and Omega Male, they feel like those men are not good enough. Omega Male, I'm going to mute you, brother. I want you to add to the conversation. You're an intelligent brother. What's your take on the American woman and WAP culture? And then we're going back to community solutions. And then we're going to finish listening to this clip I had with my man Guap. All right?
Hello, brother. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
I'm not Borgen, am I?
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So my take on the WAP culture, I feel like it's not per se the music. Everybody wants to blame it on it. I do blame it on the music, but we're all grown adults. It's like we have the option of whether we're going to adhere to the music and the message, and we have the option of turning it off. It's different when you're dealing with kids. But my whole point is that, yes, WAP culture is bad, but I think it's the issue we have is that women are too caught up into believing in the media, meaning that they're too influenced by the media. So now you have WAP culture, you have Instagram, the community solutions is mentioned about how women are trying to resemble the women and the lifestyles that they're living on Instagram. I feel like WAP culture is a result, and what's going on is a result of women adhering to it and being influenced by the media. You know, when twerking, Miley Cyrus brought twerking to the forefront, a lot of women just started coming out with twerk videos. Then when social media came, and you have Instagram, and then you have all these Instagram so-called influencers, you know, women taking pictures on yachts and boats. But a lot of these women don't understand that, you know, these women are not paying for their vacation. They're being flown out. They don't understand what goes on behind the scenes. You know, what they're having to do to be on those yachts and to be in Dubai and to be flown out here and there.
Right.
And to me, I feel like, you know, I'm 32 and I see it. I remember I came into the truth when I came into the red pill space on YouTube when I was 21, 22. And the brothers, everything the brothers were saying back in the past, a decade ago, I see it, and I see it now. I remember one of the best things I ever heard was men age like wine, women age like milk. So now all those women that I used to see in my 20s that probably would have turned me down because I am a square. I'm a straight up square. I don't sag my pants. I don't do anything like
me
that.
too, bro. Me too.
Yeah, exactly. And I was able to experience both sides of the coin because I grew up fat. And when I was 18, I lost 20 pounds before I went off to college, and then I lost 40 pounds. And then I just been working out like a bodybuilder, so I'll gain weight, and then I'll lose it. So I've seen both sides of the coin of how women treat men based upon their physicality and how they look. Vain issues. If you're a man who's overweight and you're asking for try to get the highest quality of woman, unless you bring money to the table, get yourself in the gym. But I feel like a lot of women nowadays, even due to WAP culture, they're not choosing productive, good men. They're choosing men off of vain characters like swag and game. And I tell women all the time,
and even word of mouth.
Men who play word of mouth, exactly. And I feel like what's going on is that the generation before them, their mothers, their aunts, they're not teaching them well. And maybe these women weren't raised well too, but these women are not, giving these women any wisdom of how and what to look for in a man. And then that's when the father comes in and tell you what type of games men play. But a lot of these women are not raised right. I remember one day I think I was 17. I remember all my aunts are single. All my aunts most of them never been married. My mother's single. Most of my uncles were married. Both of my uncles were married. But all my aunts were single. So I was watching my aunts. It was like 5 of them sitting down with my sister and my cousin, and they were talking about men and what to look for in men. And when I tell you, I didn't even know anything about red pill, nothing about this. I had to go in my room because what they were just saying, oh, if he doesn't do this for you, he doesn't do that. They weren't telling these women how to choose a good man or what to look for. They were just telling them what a man should do for them. And if he doesn't do, and all these were vain things, then he's not a good man. He's supposed to give you money. He's supposed to do all of that. And as far as WAP culture, I feel like in the future, all it's going to do is make men sexualize women even more.
Right.
Because if the only thing that you're showing that you can provide is sex, and then you have the BBL epidemic going on, and the only thing that you can provide is your body, men are just going to look at you for your body. So there's going to be less marriages. And then WAP culture is actually destroying these women because it's teaching these ladies and these young girls, between your 20s, have hot girl summer, have stepdaddy season, have this and that. So by the time, at 32, I'm looking for a woman, let's say I'm looking for a woman my age. She's so corrupted by having so many partners. She's so corrupted by having a sketchy past. Right. She has kids.
Right.
She wasn't living right, so her body's not right.
Right.
And then these women want to come at men my age, the men that they turn down, and they want these men like me who would have been turned down in the past to take them on plus their baggage.
Right. And just like my man D said, men have options. And, that's why I'm part of a group called BMO, called Black Man Options. And listen, unfortunately, Community Solutions, I want you to add to what the guys are thinking. But unfortunately, Community Solutions, a lot of women are suffering the recompense of their era. Women by nature are hypergamous, meaning they want the best man they can get. But sometimes their time run out because they're not practical and they look past good men. But now those same men that they look past are looking at better women, more fit women from other countries. You said something, Community Solutions, about men traveling abroad. Why do women always go to the default mechanism that those men are going to get taken advantage of? So unmute yourself and share with the audience, please.
Okay. No, I was just saying that at this point in my life, culture clinician, I just feel like just let everybody be happy with who they get. If it's not in this country, let them go to whatever country. All I'm saying is just be safe, because people are crazy everywhere. And I've seen some brothers get killed and stuff in Colombia and things like that. That's all I'm saying. And then I see I see people who got good partners, both men and women. I've seen some black women, they that's why I can't really be against black men getting non-black women when I'm okay with black women getting non-black men.
I appreciate your
fair
honesty.
across the-
I appreciate your honesty. But see, Community Solutions, this is what men are doing. Brazilian women are Afro-Latin women. Puerto Ricans, Africans, they're black. So when people say, oh, they're dealing with non, a lot of these brothers are actually dealing with Afro-Latin women, African women. It's a small percentage dealing with white and Asian, but I say if they want to, I say so be it. I've been married for 25, 26 years. But if I was a single man again, I probably would date abroad. Dating abroad would be my first option because I feel like I have all the metrics to get the kind of woman that I want. And so I don't understand why, the consternation when men decide to live their happiness. Why do our women, Community Solutions, try to pigeonhole black men into more or less giving their loyalty to women that never have been loyal to them? And it's like Mr. O and Omega Male said, a lot of these women are damaged from prior relationships. What's your take on that?
I think it's a little bit of selfishness, just the same way I see the selfishness on the part of men when our sisters, cross over or whatever for what's best for them, I think that's why I said I changed my position. I was born in 1973, so I was like to say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud.
Right.
But it's a new day. My niece told me, she said, Auntie, you're old. So
you're not old. You're not old.
I had to look at things. No, I'm cool. I'm one of those elders that's cool with my age. I'm not trying to, out compete. I lived my time. I had my fun, and now I'm, in the season of life that I'm in. But what I decided is that whoever makes you happy, and that's for black women and black men. And I want black women to choose the man that you think is going to be the best father for your children. Stop looking at all this superficial stuff. And I looked at the comments, and I think people were calling me not genuine or whatnot. Matter of fact, blind guy, his wife, they have an inspirational story about their marriage. See, now had she given up on him, she wouldn't have had the 20, 30 years or however long they was, you know what I'm saying, being
right.
being superficial.
But here's the difference with blind guy, his wife, and their life. Laquita is a good woman, and I don't think Laquita was ran through. He sounds like he got a woman that was a virgin, and so that brother was blessed with a great woman. But many of our women are not like his wife. They're not like her. Many women have been with a lot of men, and they've been imprinted by bad men like the Raekwons and the Man-Mans. And I want you to be honest, Community Solutions. Did you not have a time in your life when you had an opportunity to get a good man? I'm not saying maybe you are married, but were there times when you look past good men for men that won't worth a damn, and you regret it now? I want you to be honest, because this is therapy, and we don't lie in therapy. So
yeah, well, I'll tell you what. Well, first of all, let me let me be like Miss Sophia on Golden.
Don't start lying now.
Yeah, shout out to Black Rail 313 for that.
wait, picture it, 1908. But anyway,
shout out to Black Ram.
Yeah. So let me give you some background. I was raised masculine in a matriarchal home.
I appreciate your honesty.
Okay,
right.
I like a lot of people who, like a lot of mothers who are you're in a fatherless home. You put the onus of survival on the oldest child. So that puts the child in a patriarchal position. Now I've got to work. I've got to think. I've got to stay at home late at night while she's at work to babysit when I'm 7 years old. Okay, so that colored my judgment, and it also made me not want children. Right. So that colored my judgment on. I was very particular about men, and I'm one of the anomalies that I actually dated nerds because I was a nerd. And in my 20s, now I got wild from about 18 to 21. And then I said, wait a minute, I don't want to be ran through. You know what I'm saying? This was back in the early 90s. I don't want to be, ran through because, It does something to a woman to be. No, it's true.
No, it is
No, I
true.
want to hear this. I want to hear this because this come out the horse's mouth. I want to hear this. So look,
I mean, you know
all
what
the
I'm
little
saying?
girls
Listen.
out there, listen to what this young woman about to say to y'all.
Listen, they don't want to hear it because even if you look at the chat, I'm getting disrespected. But I'll give advice just so the Lord say, did you tell them? You shake the dust from your feet if they don't want to hear it. But I'll tell them. I say, listen, you don't want to be. And when I got laughed at in a Facebook group one time when I told them, I say, why don't y'all wait on the kids? Like Dr. Francis Cress Wilson said, why don't you wait till you're about 30, maybe have 2 or 3 with a husband.
Right.
But they don't want to hear that.
That's true. Some don't want to hear it. You agree? I agree with you on that. Some don't want to hear it.
They come now. These new girls, they compete with how many kids. That's why you meet them. They 4, 5 kids deep, and they're not even 25.
Right.
And you can't tell them nothing. That's the thing. People want to look at the elder women and say, "Why y'all ain't teaching them?" They don't want to hear it.
That's true. You're right there. Unfortunately, you're correct. And that's why I tell these young men that are 25 to 35 or 35 to 45 that never been married, if they got high standards and they love themselves and they value themselves, I tell them to go where they're celebrated instead of being tolerated. Now listen, guys, there's 61 people in the chat. I love you guys. This is a powerful discussion. We got men and women in this group giving different perspectives. We're talking about WAP culture and how WAP culture has impacted a lot of men and women. If you like what I'm doing, please donate to $7 Smalls. Get the likes up. I need all the likes to be up. You guys are doing an awesome job. But I need you guys to share this show with at least 5 to 10 people. Share it, and once you share it, tell them to subscribe, like it, and hit the notification button. Mr. and Omega Male, you guys are hearing what Community Solutions saying. She's been genuine because in therapy, like Black Ram said, we don't lie. But what's your take on what the sister's saying, brother?
Well, just to comment what Omega said earlier, I'll be able to save generation. We both early millennials. I'm about to be 35 in November myself now, and also I was a heavy set kid growing up, so my body fluctuates. But in some way, and since my late 20s up until now, my weight's been pretty good and consistent. So I've been around the 215, 200 range. I'm trying to get back down to 200 as we speak. So with my particular background, like I'm in the city of Chicago, and while I dropped in the chat to my friend MPI, they that Black women here are a particular different kind of group. See, we have gangbang culture here, and I mean gangbang culture, meaning that we got 5 generations. So I'm talking about the little young kids that y'all see on TV. And the old gangbangs from back in the day still roam the streets of city of Chicago. So pretty much Chicago Black women are raised in that environment. So even if she was raised like with some kind of good morals and values, somewhere in her family or down the line, she was with the shit. And that's how it come out in her behavior. Like me and Minister Jab, we make a running joke on both our shows that we have the worst women in the country, and we be making it a joke, but it's actually kind of effing true though. But it is what it is. When we try to actually get with our counterpart, it's like not only we dealing with the gang banging element, they don't know when to not gang bang or be part of hood ratchet culture. They try and act like they are some sedity, bourgeois type of culture. See, they try to be best of both worlds, and they get lost in the confusion. They want to be taken serious like a bougie chick, and still want to keep it real like a ratchet on the streets. And that's when we come to blows, because they still want to have some kind of femininity, but they come off with a masculine disposition. And that's why us men up here in Chicago, we be like, man, what are we dealing with? Like one man is like hanging with one of the guys, and then it's like we actually kicking with one of our girls at the same time. It's weird. And that's why we don't understand gender roles or marriage roles, because now everybody's in situationships. Nobody talks about marriage no more. We basically like a hookup culture.
I totally agree. And I think that the imprint on the mind of the man has been very deleterious, but also the imprint by some of these women by dusty men has been deleterious as well. And I'm grateful the Community Solutions is being honest. But what a lot of our women don't understand, there's a consequence to pay for having a lot of fun, because masculine dominant men don't want to deal with women that's had a lot of fun. What the funk is this? How are you doing, dear? I think you're a woman. What are you getting from this conversation? What the funk? What's your take on this?
I I grew up in a college campus at Langston University, and this is a conversation that unfortunately has cycled for at least a good 30 years. The older generation always looks at the generation right below them about the music that they're listening to and says that it's bad for the image. And then the young people can always say in return, your music was also bad for the image, and the conversation gets nowhere. The only solution that I actually only see is that it has to be a complete 180 on the entire entertainment system. And we need to figure out how to put our own creativity back into our own pockets and our own hands, and stop so much entertaining the world, our own sports leagues, our own infrastructures, and entertain each other and shut out the world until they start paying us to see us entertain the world again.
Hey, guess what? Guess what? We did that before the 1940s. We had our own Negro League. We had our own everything. The Black Wall Street. We had all that. And guess what happened?
They paid us money.
There you go.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to get you, sucker, right? When they came with government jobs and ruined the revolution.
But you know, hip hop started off being a music of protest and stuff. If you listen to the early hip hop, it wasn't all of that disrespect and let's kill each other, bang, bang, shoot 'em up in the early, part of the early days of hip hop.
Yeah, up to like what 1990, and then it got hijacked by the Jews, and now look where we are.
The corporate they hijacked them, and the more conscious, because I mean there was all kinds of group. Everybody was unique. They were.
You had everything from AWA to De La Soul, right?
Right. NWA. There was a lot of like gangster rap that were coming out, and that's what changed it. But hip hop wasn't always, and also hip hop came about because they were taking instruments out of the schools. So the kids found an innovative way to make music, but it wasn't always, bad like it is, and misrepresented and stuff like that.
Guys, I want you guys to finish listening to the conversation about the WAP culture, but also the womb imprint. I'm going to keep listening to the discussion that my man Guapo and I had. I want you guys to keep listening.
It's the law of diminishing returns.
Hold tight.
So right.
Wow. Real fast, let me catch this because I didn't want to lose it. I left it up. KP from KC5, $2. Where is your book, Kosher? Great stuff, man. I agree with him. I think you need to put some of this down.
Right. Well, I probably do. I need to get everything penned and copyrighted because in these YouTube streets, folks will take a concept. And look, shout out to the lead attorney. I stole his thumbnail.
Is it? Oh.
I was playing. Though.
Yeah,
we always joke about that.
Y'all joke. I'm glad y'all got past that though. I ain't gonna lie, Casey. I was like, this looks like. I was like, is this lead attorney shit? It happens, man. Let me tell you something. Lead. I'm gonna say this. Let me say something to the lead. And he might beat me up about this, but lead imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Right. There you go, man.
Right.
I get it though, because I hate making these thumbnails, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, man. I call it thumbnail reciprocity, man. But,
right.
Because technically you can't steal nobody's thumbnail. You can't steal it. You can imitate it, and you can say, "Oh, I like some concept," but you can't physically steal a thumbnail. It's not digitally. You can't do it. But shout out to the lead attorney. Much love to that.
Shout out to the lead attorney. He is killing the game, man.
He's killing
the game. He was over on Lapeef today with Lauren.
Oh yeah,
she was all smiles too, bro.
A phenomenal couple, man.
He knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, he knows what he's doing. He got that Pisces swag. But go ahead.
Before we go to the third one, let me ask you a question. You're up to take some calls. Yes.
Yes. Sir.
Okay, perfect. So, team, let me give you some marching orders before we do this. I have a lot of respect for our guests. We are
so guys. Hold tight. Can you guys hear me? So guys, to the men that are listening, I had a conversation with my man Guap on his show, and we were talking about the womb imprint and how women being promiscuous can reduce their chance to get a man. What's your guys' take on this conversation? And do you think Western women are so damaged that they're not worthy of being married? Starting with Mr. O.
All right. Well, I actually gave Coach Greg Adams a topic on his free agent lifestyle channel he did a couple of weeks ago, and I hate to say it, but the whole boyfriend girlfriend dynamic that we practice here in America is what damages women from the beginning. The thing is, dating goes back to it's very dating is basically early stages of prostitution, because if we go back 120 to 100 years ago, if you was caught giving women gifts just out of nowhere, taking out on dinner dates and all that good stuff, they would thought that you was a John and that she was a prostitute, and you would be going to jail. The so-called dating rituals that we practice here in America is low key nothing but acceptable forms of prostitution. That's why women have an inflated ego about themselves that do got to buy them Birkin bags. They got to take them luxurious trips because they actually using what's between their legs and what's on the exterior of what they possess to get to extract the most out of any man, even if they gonna find him physically or even economically desirable. That's with this quagmire that we have. What was courting was that a man represent himself, that he has a good status, good character in the community, and is projected to increase throughout the years of his lifespan. And he wants to take on a woman and he keep her morally good and pure, and they want to go ahead and bear children to continue the lineage that could produce generational wealth. When that family could migrate with another family, and they could go ahead and intermingle resources and create a dynamic empire. That was the whole entire philosophy from the get-go. You stupid black motherfuckers. That's what we was trying to go ahead and build. But no, 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 no. What we want to do is still practice plantation tactics of what masters tell us to do is go ahead and get that finest chick, and the chickie he go ahead and tell get the strongest black male. Y'all two bump uglies produce me the most strongest, best looking stock to he gonna populate my prison system, populate my basketball court, populate my football fields, and et cetera, so I can keep on profiting from your dumb asses and take all your wealth and put it back in my pockets and repeat. That's the end goal, and that's what we still seeing.
No doubt, that's an excellent point. Omega Male, but before you add to the conversation, I got blind guy, his wife, and their life. Unmute yourself, dear. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, dear. Blind guy, his wife, their life.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you perfect. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, so I just called in. I can't stay very long, but thank you for having this conversation and having me up on the panel.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. So you know, you were raised from a different generation. Community Solutions talked about, you know, there was a time she had a wild phase, but do you feel that modern women listen to women like you and Community Solutions? Do you feel like they listen to you guys, or do you feel like that when you guys tried, when the older women, you know, and you guys are not old, but you know, when the older sisters or sisters that have wisdom try to teach the younger women, do they repel it? And also, in this loaded question, do you think Gen X women led to this current demise that we're living in?
Yeah, you know, it's really one of these. Everyone on the panel is really saying what has happened in so many different ways. I don't think it's as easy as it's this or it's that. There are so many different layers to this, you know, and it's really a conundrum, an unfortunate one, but that's where we are. And so it's not so much that the younger woman won't listen, because just like the brother just said, you have people telling younger women, just giving them bad advice as far as this is what you should get from a man. Make sure he gives you money. Make sure he gives you time. Make sure he, instead of make sure you are doing this or make sure you are doing that. I don't remember even having those conversations with older women in my life. I don't remember them really giving me specific instructions on, you know, here is how you can positively affect your husband's life, your children's life, your own life. So it's not as simple as it's the music, it's the culture, because it is the music, it is the WAP culture, it is the WAP music. Sure, you know, like what the Funk just said, he said it best, you know, we got to go back and do a 180 of where we were before. But then, like the other brother said, what are they doing? They pay you money, they show you something shiny, and then we all pivot and go right back into where we are now. So it's really just a layer of it's really just a matter of getting to the root of things and staying at the root of things instead of getting so easily swayed by bright, shiny things. Whether those bright, shiny things are the music, whether it's the school systems, whether it's the food we eat, whether it's the water we're drinking, whether it's the conveniences we have and the lies we're being told, it's all of it. But we have to work on all of those things. So this one conversation is just one part of it. Each one teach one is another part of it. And just like the brother was saying about Chicago, if you have to relocate, you need to, because if you're 5 generations deep, 3 generations deep, 2 generations deep, familial ties and familial tendencies just tend to perpetuate, pretty strongly. And so my mother, she moved from New York City because at a young age, she realized growing up, that is not where she wanted to raise children. So, I mean, it's a bigger question than just, the Gen Xers and the women and the advice, but that's my take on it.
I want to say, can I say one thing now? I want to say not just I'll say Generation X. So that's women born between 1965. Hold on one second. I'm outside.
You're fine.
All right, so women born from 1965, and I'll say all the way up until like mid millennials, women born up to like 1990. So we got 25 year range of women that's doing the most complaining. That's the women that's calling Kevin Samuel's show right now as we speak. That's going into the twilight years of their lives. These are the same women that was influenced by the diva culture, the I don't need no man culture. I find it ironic that dudes in the 80s and 90s was making all that on bending knees songs and all that good stuff. Yeah, women was making all this separate but equal kind of songs against us. And we was still taking them back and holding them. And it was like, man, like Mary J. Blige, for example. She basically was like the poster child for all this like, I don't need no man, y'all dudes ain't shit, all that good stuff. Now she's 50-some years old trying to spread ego on fucking magazine covers. Like, what's really good?
Yeah. You go. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
Oh, no, I don't want to talk to you. Go ahead and say what you're gonna say.
No, I was just gonna agree with him. Like that's a part of the situation. Like it's not even What the Funk said it, or whoever asked What the Funk. Okay, what was the difference? What happened? And we all agreed, because I was at home agreeing. Like, yeah, they gave us money. And so instead of looking at, wait a minute, this doesn't even make sense. Like you said, we got Boys II Men, we got Casey and Jodeci, all of these men, crying and singing, in honor of their women and showing their love. And then we come out with words like, oh, he's simping, instead of reciprocating it. But who's doing that? So that's what I mean by get to the root of it all. Who is perpetuating this? Now, of course, it's easier said than done. But this is where you see that you can make a difference, make those suggestions. If you know that it might help somebody to move out of Chicago, say that. Like, hey, let's move to the Midwest, further Midwest. Let's move south. Let's move north. Let's move east. Let's do something. Let's get out of this neighborhood. Let's get out of this area. Let's do something different. Let's do world travel. Let's try something new. Same thing with the music. Unfortunately, the music is there, and it was influencing us, because I was singing Mary J. all off key, singing it hard, doing my thing. And that's where I'm saying the family ties are there, the cultural ties are there, and we have influence from everywhere. And this is where we just really have to buckle down in our communities with one-on-one, where we know people and we see people, and have these conversations with them. When we hear the music, like we censor our children's music. We were out yesterday was Sunday. Our children were out with friends. They were riding in the car. We heard a song. Nope, change it, stop it, turn it, do not turn it back on, and keep the music loud enough for us to hear it. We have to do those things, at least in places where you can. Thank you, Vaughn Bryant. I appreciate that.
No doubt. You got that storyteller voice. You exude the kind of femininity. But you know what? Blind guy, his wife, their life. You were raised in a good family. You were raised in church. And you weren't out here messing around like a lot of women were in the 90s. I was raised in Church of God in Christ, Pentecostal Holiness. I was raised like you. Believe it or not, I was what you call the Black Madonna, because at 6'5", you would think I've been out here slaying them like a beast, but I wasn't. But would you say that you begin to see the downcline of our society starting with the Gen X women in the 90s? What's your take on that?
That's where I think I would not agree that the church was such a positive influence as far as a rock solid place. Like, that's where I saw a whole lot of corruption. So I see the correlation, honestly speaking, I see the correlation of the WAP culture and the church culture. There's a lot of hypocrisy that I've seen in the church. I chose, like the other sister on the panel, not to get ran through. I said, okay, I see what they're doing over there. And, the single woman in the church that used to just be young girls, and now they're a little bit older. Now I'm looking at them, their mothers. Wow. I've seen this. And their children's fathers, or the fathers of the children that they have, I should say, are right there on the drums, on the keyboard, serving in the church in some capacity. The sneaking deacons are, yes, dropping dollars, making it rain on Saturday night, and they're right in church on Sunday. Right, so, the foundational principles are there. You do have something, but at the same time, a lot of conversations weren't had. So that's where, honestly, I wouldn't even say that breakdown was there, because, the Pentecostal holiness.
Listen. I think for the most part, the churches back then at least strive to do what's right. Modern churches don't even strive. They take anything. Listen, there ain't nothing new under the sun. King Solomon said it. They were horning around back in King Solomon's day, so it ain't nothing new under the sun. So, we got to get out of this fictitious mindset that, people were just saints. They won't. But I will say, Blind Guy, his wife, their life, that you found a higher amount of people that were trying to do the right thing, and they hid it. The difference now is they don't even hide it. They do it in broad daylight, even in the church now. And so you and I talked about on W.A.P show, go check out that brother. We talked about the womb imprint, and we talked about microchimerism. You are a nurse, and a lot of women don't understand that many have been imprinted by the mark of the beast, because many of them have had the DNA of multiple men, and now it's making it to the point that they can't bond with solid men. Now, listen, some get mad when we talk about this, and I know you're not here to denigrate, they're laughing. But this is therapy, Blind Guys. Why we don't lie in therapy. But what do you know about microchimerism? And then I'm gonna finish. I'm in the audience here about the 3 principles that I gave about why men are so territorial. But what do you know about microchimerism?
So the specific term, I'm not sure that I can. Hold on a second, because I have to wave to a neighbor. Okay. If they so nosy here, they just look in your house. Anyways, I'm sorry. It's basically, just put simply, when you have someone else's cells entering you, in this case, you have women involved with multiple men. It is true. The women are the receivers, and we are affected by what we receive. And so it is, and that's why, we're saying, like, you don't want to get ran through, because you now have parts of these different people still with you, and it does make a difference in some of your decisions. You can always overcome anything. However, I'll just leave it at that. And
it's okay. I know what you're saying. I know you don't want to go there. I understand.
That's why
I created a term called semen demons, so they get them semen demons that they need to be exercised. But go ahead, Mr. O. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, all right. Thank you for acknowledging. I am in a process of trying to relocate from this gargantuous place that I call Chicago, but at the same time, I use the women here as a case study. And the thing is, once a woman here in the city of Chicago, and I've seen this in my generation and the previous generations before me, is that once she hits 16, she has too many options, and we are already conditioned to only like a particular type based on the culture, with hip hop and R&B. Women love the so-called good guy with the edge, even though the edge, what they call the street, and even though the street edge is basically gang culture, killing, drug dealing, going to jail, and it's destructive behavior. But they romanticize and think it's just some kind of good old American culture. That,
but they want a rose. They want a rose, Mr. O. They want a rose, but you can't be a thug and a good guy at the same time. They want a rose, but it's delusional. It doesn't exist. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah, see, I'm 6'2.5". Now I'm about to sound like this is a dating profile. I'm a 6'2.5", 215-pound black man. But if they want to go ahead into astrological signs, I'm a Scorpio.
Oh my God, I'm a Leo. You bringing the pain, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a Scorpio sun, Sagittarius moon, and a Pisces rising. I'm a lethal individual.
Right.
I'm deep in the book. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a so-called biblical scholar, but I know what to read and where to read it from and know how to use it.
Yes, sir. Right.
So a lot of women can't even want to be around me because they know they can't manipulate me.
Right.
I take the whole fun of them trying to con me out of things, and I instruct them on how not to even try to do it no more, and that's when they run. That's why I feel like I'm still single, almost at 35, because a lot of women be like, if I can't get him to do I've been other dudes to do with how I look, how I say things, then I want do it like. So you want a challenge, but you don't want a challenge.
Right. That's true. That is true. But I'm telling you, brother, with your dimensions, man, you will be an All-American, man. You'll be a McDonald's All-American when you travel abroad.
And I'm a life path 3.
Oh, yeah, man, get your passport, man. Listen, I'm going to be Frustrated 3 with Al Grease. That movie is going to be epic. Keep working hard, man. There's a brother from Chicago called Dennis Jean-Pierre. He's a world traveler. He's He's part of the passport game. Just keep working on yourself, man. Black Ram, he talks about passport game, man. So
Black Ram. That's one I had like my awakening last year, around this whole lockdown. That was the first guy I actually looked up on YouTube. Go figure.
Right. I believe in
BOA.
No doubt. I believe in male empowerment. I believe men should go where they're celebrated instead of tolerated. Snuggles asked the question, blind guy, his wife, their life. Blind guy, his wife, their life. How did you not get mentally manipulated by such beautiful music into divorcing your husband and taking all of his money because you were told? Explain it, please. What's your take on what Snuggles is saying?
Yeah, I already answered Snuggles. I said he was broke, Snuggles, so I just stayed for love. And you know what? And so here's the thing too that makes that so silly. So with that question, putting that to anybody, what I don't think people really realize, like, what is broke, what is rich. Like when you have somebody that you can do anything with. So like me and my husband, we've made a lot of money in our life. We've done away with a lot of money in our life. However, we can trust each other. We can rely on each other. And we know that, okay. And we can also obtain this or that. So really, it's one of those things where it was like, run away to where? I don't know what I'm going to build with another person. I know what I can do with this person. And it's amazing. So I think most people don't appreciate that. We listening to, like the brother said, we listening to Mary J. We listening to whoever they're putting out here. And it's getting into us. And then, of course, we're getting ran through. We out here having a hot girl summers and doing whatever that we think is popular. But I don't want to take over the conversation.
You're doing fine. Well, give me a minute, dear. Give me a minute.
Okay, sorry.
Some community solution. Shout out to my man Friedman's Journal. Thank you, brother. Raise your daughters right. Social media is the devil. He's correct. Yeah. Social media is the devil. I like to say in the South, it's the devil. And a lot of times, I've learned that you can raise them right, but they still get pulled in so many directions. So it's not 100%, but you do increase the outcomes when you raise your kids in a very nurturing environment where the man is strong and he holds them accountable. So I agree with that, brother. Try to raise them right. Shout out to my man, Corey. How you doing, Corey?
What's the deal, Pickles? Is everything kosher?
Everything is kosher, brother, because if it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. So what's going on, brother? I want you to add to this conversation because you and I are from the same generation, and you and I, Corey, remember a time that men didn't deal with women that were ran through. But do you believe that the WAP culture has influenced women to be very promiscuous? And do you think there's hope, or do you think WAP culture has denigrated the culture so much that there's no turnaround? What's your take?
I just got here, and I'm be glad to answer that, but I'm gonna be a gentleman and let the lady go first. I know she was trying to say something before I sat down.
Yeah, go ahead, Community Solution. Go ahead, dear. I'm sorry, I apologize.
That's okay, thank you. No, actually, I was I referred to Blind Guy, his wife, their life, in regards to your situation in terms of your family, your love and stuff like that. Now, I saw that with some people I went to high school with. It seems like Gen X is taking a lot of heat, but I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of these folks running around here with debauchery and stuff, their parents were my parents, which is the baby boomers. So let's just situate that.
Oh,
The
I
second
blame
thing,
them. I really blame them.
yeah, the baby boom.
Actuality,
Listen, let me
I
tell
go
you about
further.
how they took the wealth from the great generation, World War II generation, and a lot of these homeless people you see in Los Angeles. Los Angeles was founded by Black people. Remember that. Now let me get back on the subject. I'm sorry. So what I wanted to say was that I did see, and I still see, one of my good friends from high school just got married. Um, she's with a guy she's been in a relationship with for years. Her children, or her two daughters, are they're good girls. They're, as far as I know, they're not in trouble and stuff like that. So a lot of the people I went to school with, and they waited a little later, like in their 20s, to have kids, and some of them even they're just now getting out of high school, which will put them in their 30s when they had children. So they waited, but I do know what love is. I know how to separate music from real life. And I think that because everything is so visual now with social media, see, we didn't have social media back then with this WAP culture and stuff like that. And that, I think, is very influential. I was just so flabbergasted to see so many women going and getting plastic surgery. So it's like Black women, I never knew us to do that in prior years. But that's all I wanted to do. I was commending the blind guy, his wife, their life earlier on your marriage and stuff like that. And I was saying, I saw in the chat people were kind of getting a little smart, but I have seen long marriages, so it is possible here in America with two American people, not somebody foreign.
Well, let me ask you a question. Are you currently married?
I'm currently in a situation where I'm gonna be going through a divorce pretty soon, so.
So let me ask you a question, because I'm going to be the devil's advocate. Some will argue, did you initiate the divorce or did your husband initiate it? If you don't mind saying it.
He doesn't want the divorce, but he's kind of like abandoned the marriage, and there's some things going on that is not too cool. But right. So what would you say to the advocates that say stay with your husband and try to work it out? Well, sometimes it's not possible to stay with the husband. I'm being realistic here. Yeah. There's domestic situations. There's different situations. Right. There's men who everybody talking about masculine women, but there's men who will not work. They will not work. They will watch you struggle and work 50 jobs and die of a heart attack by the time you're 50. And they still won't work. No, that's true. Listen, there's some dusty men out there. I'm not gonna lie with you. These people don't have signs flashing across their forehead that they're a predator. Mm-hmm. If they did, the population would probably be half because nobody would be getting with them. But you don't. A lot of times, it's same thing with the men. Sometimes you don't see there's some evil women out here, some horribly evil women, who use their children as ATMs. But if we could see people, if it was flashing across their forehead, I'm a bum, or right. I'm a predator, I'm a user. If we could see that, there'd be a lot more single folks out here. Well, that's funny. Omega Revelations, you've been quiet, brother. What's your take to the conversation about this Gen X dynamic, and are American women and WAP culture finished? And do you feel that many have the mark of the beast?
Many do have the mark of the beast, and the American culture altogether, dating, relationships, and marriage, I feel like is obsolete, and it's getting worse now. Like she said about the BBLs, now you have women out there adding to the WAP culture, and there's certain things that you can't get rid of. So now they're getting all this plastic surgery at a young age, which is going to suffer when they get older, and it's not going to look right. Just like tattoos, you get tattoos and do all that crazy stuff in your 20s, and then you pay for it when you get to your 40s and 50s. And to me, and what I said earlier, I feel like there's really no solution. We could talk all day about changing the culture, changing this, changing that. It's not going to happen. For things to change and for us to get back to the 1960s, we need a whole reset of society.
I agree.
A collapse.
I agree. I totally agree.
So now me, and you speak a lot about abroad. I started when I was 6 going abroad and dating abroad and all that. I'm going to DR next week. And, you know, what's current in our community is that the men who are going abroad are not the dusties. You know, you can't get a passport if you have back child support. You can't get a passport and travel if you have a felony. You know, most men are not traveling if they're broke. So what's happening is you're having the decent men who've been looked over, and now they're taking their resources and they're taking their time and they're taking what they could have gave to a good woman if she wasn't out there trying to choose the degenerates. They're taking what they have and what they can provide overseas, which is taken away from the black community. But at the end of the day, it's their solution of dealing with what they're dealing with. It's kind of like you push them to the edge, and now they're just jumping over and saying, "I'm done."
Right.
And you know, and not a lot of black men are going. Like I said, you need to fit in. You can't be in those categories to go, but it's the decent ones who are leaving and taking what they could help the black community with, and they're just walking away. And I don't see black women changing due to this happening until there's no more men on the island. Right. Until they wake up one day and they just see that there's no guys out there or decent men out there to date.
Right.
Because all these men have left. And what's worse is, you know what can happen that can make it even worse is if you start getting a large immigrant population that gets close to the black community, to where black men now, they don't have to go abroad. They can go, you know, next door to the other community to pick women from.
Right, right,
because, okay.
Right. No, I totally understand it, man. And I don't, like I said, I believe the men should go where they are celebrated instead of tolerated. Listen, guys, 60 people in the house. Please like, share, subscribe, hit all notifications button. It's enough people in this audience tonight to share this with at least 5 people. Help me get to 2,000 subs. I'm going to support Blind Guy, his wife, and their life. They are great people. I was on their show last night. We had a great show. Go support their show. I love Laquita and Corey. They're awesome people. Go check their channel out. They're good people. They personify the American dream. They personify what black people were like years ago. And go check out my friend, my dear friend Kelly, for My Vivid Life, Their Life, Her Life, Their Life. I be getting confused.
My Vivid Life.
Yeah, my Vivid Life, Sister Kelly. I'm trying to do all this stuff by myself.
But
go share the content, guys, because I like what Omega Revelations is saying. I tend to agree with him. It's not that I'm being negative, but I'm a realist. I think there has to be a total de-evolution. Jesus said you can't take new wine and put it into old wineskin. You have to change the wineskin first before you can put it into new. And I think until our women get back to being women, because I believe a lot of our women have been compromised, we're going to continue to have the same outcomes that we'll still have it. I want you guys to finish listening to this show when I was with my man Guap real quick. And then
I was gonna say, before you go play the clip, like I think the first casualties is gonna be the Generation X women in real time. I mean, think about it. The women that are in Generation X promoted hypersexuality.
Yes, sir.
Adina Howards, Lil Kim's, I would say the Halle Berrys, the Mariah Careys, you know what I'm saying, and Nicole Murphys. Now look at all the women I just named from that generation. They've been married or have been habitually single for majority of their lives, and they're basically compromised to the point they going out like Eartha Kitt. They gonna be crazy cat ladies with all that money, living in the best luxurious lifestyles, but can never be basically happy. Yeah, it's
like
gonna
dogs.
Be. See.
That's a LOL. That's a joke. I know I'm a dog.
Right. She didn't mean it.
I know. I'm laughing over it, but I'm trying to remember what I was trying to say with that. Like, and then my generation, millennials, they come right behind it. They already kicking out being dog moms.
Yeah.
Yeah, and us millennial men, I mean, we was basically the first men that was supposed to be destined to be automatically stepdads because we was raised and conditioned and programmed to become stepdads from an early age, from TV programming all the way up into the lifestyles. Because majority of us millennial boys are daycare kids. We are the crack baby kids. We are you know what I'm saying? That's what kind of generation we came from. The only parental supervision that we had was outside of the household, and it was structured by indoctrination camps, aka the schools and after school programs.
Right. Right.
And I do want to add, can I just add really quickly the last word he said, program. That's a big issue. Programs are part of why we are. That's another level of where we are right now, because there's a lot of programming happening out here. But that's all I'll say on that.
No doubt. Shout out to my man Freedman's Journal. I met this great brother from Bernard Riley's show. And Freedman's Journal, if you have a channel, tell the people about your channel. But also, how do you want to add to this conversation, brother? Because you and I, we appear to be from Gen X. You got a little gray in your beard like me. You know, I don't think you're that old, but you got a little salt and pepper going on. But I want you to add to the conversation, drop your channel, but also, what's your take on W.A.P culture and are modern American women more or less imprinted by the mark of the beast?
Yeah, I think it is, but I think we allow it. We aren't standing up against it as far as, you know, the educational complex goes, and as far as like social media and whatnot, we're not attacking it. You know, I mean, there's too many unguarded resources. You know, you have to guard your children. You know, you have to they're your children. You control what they do and how they do it. You know, and you know, to kind of, I guess, get back to where we should be, you're gonna have to. It's just consequences. You know, I'm a Gen Xer, and like the brother was saying, you know, they are gonna be 40, 50, you know, on social media, living their best life.
Right.
That's gonna have to happen. I mean, one generation is gonna have to be an object lesson for the next one.
Yes, sir. I totally agree.
Just, you know, so the millennials and the generation after that can just say, we don't want that, you know. Because eventually it's going to happen. Eventually, you know, they're going to have, you're going to see it more mainstream. They'll be like, whoa, these women are 40 and 50 with nothing to do, right? The whole, you know, and I think to get back to where we got to be, we got to lift up the moms. We got to lift up the marriage. That has to be an example. You can show the good and the bad, right? Like a lot of channels, the red pill channels are just marriage bad, right? But if the marriage rate is 50%, half the people got to figure it out. You know, and first-time marriages, I think I heard you tell me that first-time marriages were 60% stay together. Right. You know, and then if a woman has a bachelor's degree, your marriage is going to last longer. You know, if you put more in the pot, you put more in your marriage money-wise, your marriage lasts longer even still. So don't get it twisted. There's a way to do it right. Do it that way. You know, and we as men, and that's the other thing, we as men, if we're going to put these on the ladies, we need to be husbands first. You know, you need to be prepared to take care of a family. You need to invest in yourself. You need to build your own life and your own resources. And then guess what? You'll make much better choices than women. You're not going to be picking thoughts. That's thought repellent. You
right.
Go out and get a house. You don't want that. You are invisible to them. You know, what your expectations and what you want out of a woman are like kryptonite. They will avoid you.
Well, that's a valid point. I think and I think you're an optimist, Mr. Freedman's Journal, and I respect your optimism. But I think what a lot of guys are saying, you know, I don't think that some of the guys in the red pill are totally against getting married. They're just saying under the current conditions, it does not benefit men. When you look at your grandmom, your great grandmom, there was no such thing as no fault divorce. There was no such thing. But look at how many women are getting divorcing men over goofy stuff. Like you saw the clip with Jada Pinkett. Jada Pinkett got everything a woman could want in a man. But she's still complaining about Will Smith because she's probably being imprinted by Tupac, who gave her the mark of the beast. And so my whole point is guys are saying they just don't see the benefit. And so, and I love your optimism, but I like what Mr. O and Omega Revelations is saying. There has to be a total de-evolution, in my opinion. I think there has to be a total de-evolution for men to get the outcomes that they want. And I do agree with you, Freedman's Journal. I think men do have to be men. I agree with you 180% on that. But with over 73% of our men born in single-parent homes, most men have been indoctrinated, Mr. Freeman's Journal, to be simps, meaning they have been conditioned to more or less serve women without principle instead of standing on masculine principle. I created a term called the conscious simp and the unconscious simp. And many of our men are unconscious simp because they come into the relationship seeking to serve the woman instead of being served. I've said it in the past, in behavioral modification, women only respect power and strength. And if that man is not standing in power and strength, she's not going to respect him. Shout out to JP Aspiring Matriarch for the $5 super chat. Gen Z has a different mindset. They seek community. They just need examples. If black men leave, that takes away opportunities to build a new foundation. Well, you know, and I feel you, sis, you know, but what a lot of brothers are telling me, they said a lot of our sisters didn't believe that the fat meat was greasy because they are deaf. They denied the evidence. They become enraged when you give them the evidence. They argue the evidence through what's called an ad hominem attack, and they fight or flee. Kevin Samuels talked about sign language, shame, guilt, insults, and needs to be right. But deaf is based on the principle from the clinical terms that I call cognitive dissonance. And because of that cognitive dissonance, guys, a lot of men are saying, give me liberty or give me death.
That's me. That's me. I'm a nihilist. You know what's so depressing, before you go back, you know what's so depressing is when you hear a millennial using 1990 talking points to reinferrate her behavior, even though she never went through or actually had examples in her actual life. But she'll tell me that majority of us black men are either part of the Rainbow Brigade, locked up, and all that good stuff. I say, and unless you live in my city or one of the so-called quote-unquote bad cities of America, where have you personally have witnessed that? Tell me. They can never tell me that. Only they can tell me is like, well, I seen it on Baby Boy, or I seen it on and that's what we get where they get their culture from. Tyler Perry movies, John Singleton movies, and all this other crap. And I'm like, ugh.
So it sounds like to me you feel like there's a total denigration of the black man. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I mean, look, I've been programmed ever since I was a kid through Oprah, Rhonda, The Color Purple. Yep, that we want nothing. Like we were just the damn devils. And then you got movies and other boogeyman arguments in the black community that reinferrate that. Yeah, I felt like I was a monster. I shouldn't even be. I shouldn't even be able to walk the streets. That's how I felt. I mean, we became old dogs. Then you got Lil Wayne is the poster child for masculinity in my generation. That's why I'm guilty of listening to the music. I'm guilty for partaking in the culture. But when I woke up and started looking for what it was, I was like, are y'all really serious? This dude got tattoos all over his face and body. He drinks cough syrup. I mean, come on, yo. Like this is what we striving to be.
Right. They drink cough syrup. That's funny. That's funny, brother.
Hey, Gen Xers, don't get it twisted. Y'all got y'all. DJ Screw kicked it off of y'all.
Hey, I make no excuses.
And you gotta have 40 ounces too. And y'all smoking chronic. Thug Passion, anybody? Thug Passion, anybody?
Right.
We were.
So
yeah, we was pretty rough. I ain't gonna even lie. We was rough.
We kicked it off. What you talking about?
Yeah.
Right. That's why I said Gen X. A lot of our Gen X women, even though the baby boomers played a role too, but if the Gen X, if baby boomers were the flame, were the match, Gen X women were definitely the flame, and now they are suffering the recompense of their era. You know, and you still got Gen X women like I think Mr. O and Mega Revelation say hot girl summer. They damn near 45, almost grandmoms, and they still trying to drop it like it's hot. And so, so guys are saying, listen, we tired of all that toxic culture. A lot of guys are actually saying they'd rather die alone than they deal with American women. Is that true for you too? Also, Omega Male and Freeman's Journal, I think you're married. Well, what's your take on that, brother?
No, man. I mean, I don't know. When I hear the stories of the type of women that guys are meeting, I'm like, how are you meeting them? I just didn't meet them. That's why when I say, hey, be a husband and you won't meet them, that's my best theory as to how. I did marry. My wife is originally from another country, black from the Caribbean, but I never really gave up on black women. You know, I mean, just I don't know. I just don't have the horror stories, I guess.
Right.
So
You just don't have the horror stories, right?
Yeah, my particular view is kind of, I guess, in that vein. So for me, going overseas, I can't relate personally. Not that, if that's your choice, that's your choice. But
So, brother, you say you go overseas?
I'm not.
Oh, okay, but
I didn't
see,
know.
the issue is your wife is foreign. She's not. She wasn't raised in America. So now you essentially got what these brothers who are going overseas want.
Well,
Because I'm sure your wife, she doesn't act like a westernized woman.
Well, no, the most of the women that I've dated acted like my wife. It wasn't like, I was getting a whole bunch of strags and all of a sudden I found a good one because she wasn't from America. That's what I was trying to explain. I didn't get. That's why I don't get the. I didn't meet a woman like a lot of women like the women that are talked about.
Brother, may I ask your age? I see the gray beard.
Oh, 47. 47.
47?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're 47. So, at the time when you were dating, maybe in your early 20s, there wasn't that much of abundance. Like there wasn't a WAP culture. You might have, you had Back That Thing Up, you had songs like that, but it wasn't to the extent that it is now. Where let's say back then, you only had to experience dysfunctional women at a 40% chance, but now it's 60, even 70% chance. So I understand what you're saying as far as you didn't see it. And, I don't know if you were dating women in the church or if you were just women, just on the streets, because maybe you were just in a localized environment where most of the women were good. But men like me who are 32 and the younger generation, what we're saying is that it's not, it became normal for most women to be dysfunctional and to live out the WAP culture. Back then, it was shame. You were shamed for being a hoe, being a thot. But now you have slut walk.
Right.
It's being promoted. So this is so when you say you don't understand how brothers are meeting these women, you have to understand that you're not in the dating environment right now. And you already have your wife. And the reason why a lot of brothers go overseas is because, they're trying to get what you already have. Right. A woman who's not influenced by this WAP culture.
I say that, but I was also, I've only been married 4 years. So, I was out dating hard, just a little, almost about 4 years. I'll almost been married 4 years. So I was out there dating hard, right before we met.
How old were the women that you were dating? I have a reason for asking.
Well, one chick was like 15 years my junior, women in their early 30s. Mid to early 30s is where I was shooting for because I wanted to have kids. So that's where, that was my target demographic.
And that's the time where women come to their senses and now they're looking for the good man. Right. But what we're trying to say is that we're dealing with women in their 20s, even women my age who are 32. But the issue I have with it is a lot of women who are 32. You have to question what have you been doing for those 10 years? What have you been doing for those 15 years? And what kind of baggage do you bring? I don't know if you have an issue with dating a single mother or women with kids, but I don't.
And then millennial brothers don't want to be single daddy ass raising ass niggas. Sorry.
Doesn't seem like
no.
No, and I agree with you guys. I think the Zennials and the Millennials are actually, the Zennials and Millennials are radicals, man. They're saying the hell with it. Gen X men did a lot of simping, man, but the Zennials and the Millennials are saying the hell with it. They're really saying give me liberty or give me death. And I understand what Freeman's Journal was saying. It's almost like it's two different dimensions. Until you out here dating in this cesspool, you can never understand it. But you seem like you got a good wife, and brother, I'm very happy for you. I'm happy that you got a good wife and you got a great family. Kudos to you. But I do have a level of empathy for the Zennials and the Gen Xers. Zennials and Millennials, because I do hear the horror stories, and I think, like I said, that the Zennials and the Millennials have taken WAP culture to a whole new level. They just don't care at all.
At least Gen X women, when they were doing their dirt, they hid it. I heard stories of women when they were in college, they were getting their hump on, but they did it in secret. But now these women, they don't care. They don't have no shame. Am I right or wrong, young brothers?
No shame at all.
No lie.
shame.
Hey, look at Del Curry on what's her name? Look at her. Look, Generation X woman. She's explaining the behavior. She's got the whole Gen X woman's life plan planned out. She met.
You said what, brother?
She basically got the life plan planned out. She got pregnant and married Dale. Now she's divorcing him by go to a higher value male than Dale. And once that don't work out, because it's not gonna work out, she got her multi-million-dollar son to fall back on.
She's an anomaly. Like that caliber of man is not available to most women.
Oh, Generation X women, they scored the highest bidder out of all generations. They still won divorce their men.
No, there's reasons why for divorce. Now everybody is listen. We got some men out here who they don't care to do anything. So I'm not gonna sit up here and paint a brush that all men are perfect and this and that. They're imperfect women and imperfect men. And
of course.
Yeah, so a lot of these leftover babies that y'all are complaining about having to raise, there were men who put those babies in there and left.
And there was women who chose those men.
And like majority of them are Generation X men. Majority of them are Generation X men and early millennial men.
Women are in absolute control of procreation. Absolute.
That's true.
But men, if you're into, well, yeah, I'm not going to go into scripture, but I look at the children as men, as property for the children are the property of the man. That's why they take the last name. So I put it on both of them. You're not supposed to be.
And ergo, actuality, if you want to go ahead and do that whole dynamic, I mean, we supposed to be property of God, then man is property of woman, and woman is property of the children. So, and we supposed to do it by that dynamic. So overall, the man's supposed to be the property of a man too. So
I agree.
But
I agree. You don't even have. We're not gonna fight about that because I agree. I believe the man is supposed to be the head. So if the family is in shambles, then if the man get himself together, then the women and children should fall in line. That's my
because
but you know what?
I can't have no scapegoat. If shit falls apart, I gotta take full blame because it's my house. I'm supposed to rule over and supposed to upkeep. But when shit goes good, women want to go ahead and say like I put my input too. I mean, it wasn't all just you about it. But as soon as this house catches on fire, you expect me to put you over my shoulders and carry you out the whole house, right?
Oh Lord, save me!
No, I have sense enough to get out of the house.
Oh no, we got 300-pound women in America thinking that they got the unlimited gall to wait for a dude that's 180-some pounds to pick them up and try to chase them out of a burning house, and we got these simp ass dudes that actually obliged by it until that said house catches on fire.
I'm talking about it in the decision making, brother. I'm not talking like literally. Like I don't have sense enough to carry my fat ass out the house if it's on fire.
Well, tell that to millennial women that actually expect a dude that's 185, 190 pounds to pick up a 285-pound woman that's damn near the standard in America out of a burning house, and we trying to tell these dudes that's what you pick.
Well, I see what you're saying, man. And you're right. I think a lot of times women don't have the proper vetting, and you look at Corey and Quita. They've been married for a long period of time. I think when Corey picked his wife, he picked his wife based on virtue. But Laquita, correct me if I'm wrong. You were conditioned to more or less know what to look for in a man. So you got a good man in your husband. Am I right or wrong?
I would say that is. Anyways,
he's waiting.
I know, right? Okay, so yes and no. And I say mainly no. Well, you know what? I was a yes and no, 50-50, because I saw good examples, but it wasn't the conversations weren't there. So it's one of those things where you just have to take it and hopefully do the right thing with the information that you are given. So you're right. I saw a whole bunch of craziness, and then I also saw long relationships. You know, there were a lot of married couples around us. You're right. In the church, there were a lot of people that were married, had been married, but then outside of the church as well. So I will say that. But I don't know, Corey, I'm sure you have some input on this part too.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of hard for Quita to get away anyway, because when you struck by the fuel, fury, and force of the chocolate thunder like me, it was a wrap for her anyway to begin with. So, but it really is about, you know, you see the examples in front of you. Like I said, I didn't know what divorce was, so I got in like 4th, 5th grade, and I started hearing that term because my dad was there. My dad was, you know, showing me, you know, what it meant to be a dad. And so
I thought you said divorce. You said divorce.
I didn't know what divorce was.
I was like, what voice?
I'm sorry, I'm country. Divorce.
Okay.
Divorce. I didn't know what divorce was until I got about 4th or 5th grade. And then, but you know, the example I saw with my dad was that, you know, you hang in there, you be the man, you provide the best you can, you protect the best you can, but more so that third P is that he poured into me a lot of different values, a lot of love, a lot of patience, a lot of character and concern, and that's what I think that's one of some of my stronger points that I learned from my father. But
what about the music influence in that?
The music and in our house, you know, we didn't have that early WAP culture type music. You know, I grew up on Motown. I grew up on, you know, some people call it simp music. But I grew up on Smokey Robinson, ooh, baby, baby. You know, right. I grew up on that's the kind of type of music I grew up on. And it didn't start to get crazy. I mean, not to say it wasn't there, because while you had Smokey and the Miracles and all those guys singing, in the background, you had people like Dolomite cutting up Pimp albums.
Right.
We had that stuff going on. And then, you know, of course, I think to me, like I said, it's more or less, that culture has always been there. But now that we have social media out here, people got access to the information, you know, a lot faster and a lot larger scale. Because you take, for example, when 2 Live Crew came out with their album, when NWA came out with their album, you either had to buy the album that had the lyrics on it, or you had to sit there and listen with a tape deck and keep rewinding and try to write the lyrics down and then go sell them for 50 cents a page at school. And that's how the lyrics got distributed back then. Well, now you got YouTube, lyrics are right there. You got all the lyrics of Lyric Genius, it's right there. So it's at the press of a button that these people get this information, and then the children have it, and the children are acting on it. And let's just be real, when the daughter is 16 and the mama is 32, and then Big Mama is 48, they all jamming to the same music. Pretty much, and they live in the same kind of lifestyle, and that's where, you know, there is no, Kevin Samuels says all the time, there is no real Big Mama no more, and there's no, you know, and that's kind of putting a damper on what the young ladies are seeing. And yes, men bear responsibility for it too, because, you know, if we're not there and being present in our children's lives, then that leaves a hole and a void there for that type of stuff to seep in. But to what that brother was saying about the house being on fire, and a 185-pound man trying to carry a 285-pound woman, that's a deep metaphor, because you think about the house being on fire is any type of problem. But you think about that 285-pound woman, that 200, like, she could be 100 pounds, but then another 185 pounds is her personal baggage that man is going to try to carry. You know, like you said, just, you know, oh, you got 4 kids by 6 babies daddies. Oh, I'm good. I'm gonna be their daddy. I'll be the daddy for them. Oh, you jacked up your credit when you was dealing with Pookie and Ray and Taekwon and all them. Oh, I got you. I'm the man. I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And so, yeah. So
and then you got to deal with her mama.
Then you got to deal with
her sisters.
Yeah, you got to deal with her mama, her sisters. You got to deal, you know, all those things, and
the government. And you forgot about the most important thing, and the government.
So that's the 285-pound woman right there. She might only weigh 100 soaking wet. So
right, guys. I want to finish sharing this part about, you know, how men feel mentally about women that have been impacted by WAP culture, and how WAP culture actually can be negative for women bonding to the man in relationship. And we call this the Matthew Henson principle. I was on my Man That Guapo show, and we were chopping up. So keep
back to work.
Quick.
Okay,
after
cool.
we get off here, but hey, we're here for the team.
Right, no doubt.
Okay, call in, be presentable. All right, team. Coming at you now, and Gail and other moderators, if you wouldn't mind reposting that occasionally, I would appreciate it. So the coup de grace Number 3 on your list after the open box.
Can
you hear me, Coach?
Yes, I can hear you. It's called the Matthew Henson principle. And
Can you spell that?
Yeah, so Matthew Henson, MATTHEWHENSON. He was the famous explorer.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, just Alex Edipoju with a $20 super sticker. Thank you very much, Alex. Y'all are all right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Go ahead, Coach. I'm going to hold the rest of them.
Yeah, you're fine.
Hold the rest of them.
So Guap. So the next one's called the Matthew Henson principle. If you think about Matthew Henson was a famous black explorer. He was the first one to plant the pole when he went to the North Pole. Now imagine if Matthew Henson had got to the North Pole and he saw 100 poles already planted in the earth. In his mind, he would say to himself, it's already been conquered. So what's special about it? So men by nature want to conquer the land. We want to conquer it. And
right.
So if it's already been conquered, it's not valuable about it. So he felt validated because he conquered. Remember this, the masculine is doing, right? The feminine is being. That's why when the sperm and the egg comes together, the sperm is action, is being, but the egg is just doing, it waits for the instruction of the sperm. It sits and waits.
Man, y'all go get a consultation. Bars, yo. See, I keep quotes. I'm taking notes in my own show.
No doubt.
Bars.
Right.
The sperm is moving.
Right. It's
action. Waiting.
It's waiting.
The masculine is doing. Man.
The feminine is being. It must be. And sometimes
I'm stealing all of this, bro.
Sometimes, Guapo, that can be good and bad because sometimes we see the men as human doings and the woman is human beings. And so basically what it means is see the man as a tool. Dr. T.S. Johnson talked about a term called the concuserve. It's a term that means concubine. He's made to be a concubine and a servant. Well, I created a term called the commodification of subjugation as it relates to solipsism. That's a negative connotation that basically means that some women all see men as a commodity to be used to serve her. But a woman should see a man as the commodification of glorification, meaning she see him as a commodity to be galvanized or sharpened so he can be the best version of himself. When a woman galvanizes a man, he becomes the best version of himself. But when she see him as just a commodity, over time he burns out. That's why you see men, they die off early. Because just like, and listen, it's art imitating life. And it's not a beautiful lie, it's the truth.
It's the truth.
When you think about sperm cell, guess what? Over time, the fastest swimmers actually die off. And then the latent sperm actually are the girls. The boys are the fast swimmers, they die off.
Right.
But the latent swimmers are the girls. So just like art imitating life, the sperm actually dies off because it's constantly moving. And so, like Teddy Pendergrass said, the Mona Lisa, you are my inspiration. A man needs a woman every now and then to create that melange, right? I call it the melange, an amalgamation, where they get together as a team and they have what's called soul fusion.
Okay.
They get together as a team, they have soul fusion. And she complements his masculinity. He's her weakness. He is her weakness, and she is his strength. She's his strength, but he's also her weakness. And I call it symmetry or yin and yang, And so that's what men need. Men want women. They want good feminine women. They want cooperative women. They want women that have not been impacted by a lot of men. Because masculine men don't want to have the thought of multiple men touching something they value.
Amen.
Just like our car. Why you didn't call our car Guap? You remember back in high school?
Your girl.
Say we call it our girl, right? Because it's a pearl of great cost. It's something we value.
I don't even let men on my grill.
Right.
Real talk. I don't let the only person that I.
That was a great. You on mute. You on me, kosher.
Right. That's what we call the womb imprint, and that's why men like Mr. O, Freedman's Journal. Well, I'm Freedman's Journal. He's married, but Omega Male. That's why a lot of men are divesting because masculine men want women that they can see as something special. Men by nature just have a hard time dealing with their woman being impacted or imprinted by so many men. Shout out to my man Gary Lynn Scott. Gary Lynn Scott, tell the audience who you are. I want you to join the conversation. You talk about a lot about the non-contractual marriage because you feel like marriages in America are not worth it. So tell the audience who you are, brother. And guys, if you have not added to the Cash App, please, before I get off this show, because I'm about to leave in a few minutes, I got to see some clients. But please donate to $ or cash $7 Smalls. And the topic of discussion is, have WAP culture impacted American women to the point that they have the mark of the beast? Gary, I want you to add to the conversation, brother.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm Gary Scott. I am a parental rights advocate, a father's rights advocate, and I encourage families in the realm of marriage, child custody, and stuff like that. I help people gain custody of their children when they can't afford lawyers and stuff like that. So just sort of like a self-taught paralegal. And yes, I do subscribe to non-contractual marriage when it comes to the marriage license. I teach people about what the marriage license really means and how it is a negative entity into your marriage. When you use marriage licenses, you're inviting the state or the government in to come in and govern your marriage instead of God governing your marriage. And, you know,
I think you're frozen, brother. I think he dropped off. I add him back. So Omega Revelations, what did you get from that expose that I did with my man W.A.P? And we're going to sign off in a few minutes. But what did you get from that expose about the Matthew Henson principle, brother? Are you there, American Revelations? Omega Revelations? Mr. O, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
So what did you get from that revelation, brother?
From what you was discussing with the gentleman, that was beautiful. I was damn near clapping in the background, especially I was actually clapping and laughing at the same time because I found it ironic that you named the principal after Matthew Henson, and guess who is one of his descendants by blood?
Who's that?
Taraji.
Are you serious? Oh my goodness! Yeah, Taraji Henson is actually from Eastern North Carolina, man. She's from Halifax County, a place called Scotland Neck.
Yep, that's a great great uncle.
I didn't know that. Yeah, actually, man, Taraji is from this Taraji High School, and I used to play each other. I'm from a county called Bertie. That's in the east, is in the country, man. Man, I never knew that, man. Actually, David Ruffin is from my hometown. His grandparents are from Bertie County, man. So I would have never known that either. But go ahead, brother. What were you saying? Go ahead.
No, it just proves my point that she's a Generation X woman that's having trouble and asking us black men going on a particular award show and ask us black men to come back. Yeah, her ancestor is a dude that had to go his own way to the furthest of the poles to get.
That's what. You think it's an irony?
Yeah, it's so ironic.
Right. Snuggle said, by the way, I'm impressed with how these channels are growing and how they're getting the viewership very fast. Maybe highly melanated people want to change. So Gary, let's add back to the conversation. Thank you, Snuggles, for that $5 super chat there, and thank you for supporting the content. But Gary, let's add back to what you were saying, brother.
Yes, just finishing about talking about marriage licenses. When you use a marriage license to get married, you're inviting the state to be a third party in the contractual agreement. And so the thing is, when that entity will control your marriage and the attitude of your marriage, the spirit of your marriage for the duration of the legal marriage. Just doing some history on the marriage license. Marriage licenses are only about 125 to 30 years old in America. They were used to keep the whites and blacks from marrying each other back in Jim Crow. So you would have to come to the county courthouse to get permission granted to you to get married once they see your faces. So that's the history of the marriage license in America. And so, of course, they've added more benefits and everything to the purchase of a marriage license. to more persuade you to use the marriage license as your means to get married. But before marriage license, Black people jumped the broom and we recorded our marriages in our family Bible. And that constituted a real marriage. That's what you call common law marriage, because common law is law to everybody. That's common law, is law given to us by God, which we don't need anybody's permission to engage in. And so, but we've been programmed in our society that the only way you become married is through obtaining a marriage, like a state-sponsored marriage license. And so, when we do that, we're actually putting away God, and we say we don't trust you, God, to govern our marriage. We're going to have the state govern our marriage, and we're going to be subject to the terms and regulations of the state instead of our God. And so, just to give you some more background, when Supreme Court ruled that gay marriage was legal, the Supreme Court ruled correctly. Now, the issue was the selling of marriage license. Each state were denying gay couples to purchase marriage licenses. Well, marriage licenses are a state-sponsored product that the state sells to its citizens, to its residents. Well, you can't block a tax-paying citizen, whether they be gay, straight, or Black, white, whatever. You can't deny that benefit to someone because of the 14th Amendment, where you can't discriminate. So once they went to the lower court, to the appellate court, both of those courts denied gay people gay marriage, where they went to the Supreme Court of the United States, and the Supreme Court made the correct decision to grant gay couples the selling of marriage license. Well, the thing is, a lot of states responded by totally getting out of the marriage game altogether. They totally stopped selling marriage license. Well, I think Alabama is the only state in the union right now who relinquished the selling of marriage licenses and the signing of marriage licenses by state judges. And people don't realize that the state, every state, is not mandated to sell your marriage license. They sell it as a benefit to the government for revenue. And that's what people don't know. Then I really fault the church for not digging into this and really educating the religious community about this, because we are swindling ourselves and selling ourselves into a form of institutional slavery by using marriage licenses, and they never should be used. And then what I brought up about gay marriage is to prove to us that the state is not mandated to sell us anything in regards to marriage. They do it as a condition of federal funding and a way to intrude themselves into your lives, to take control of your children and your marriage, and your children are the fruit of your marriage. So they get control over that too. And you sign it over to them by obtaining the marriage license. So that's what I do. I educate people on what marriage really is, because we are programmed to think that we have to involve government into our marriage in order for us to be married. And that's not true.
Right. Bro, what I just said earlier on this stream, what I just said when I gave the Coach Greg Adams about dating and its formulation, it was dating was basically a acceptable form of prostitution. You just basically stated that 100 years ago, right, that you had to go and get a marriage license, and you see why? Because if you was walking around in the street with a woman, taking out on dates,
I remember a real hard time understanding this, guys. I'm not hearing him at all.
Can you hear me now?
It's making a weird sound. I can't understand the words.
Now, I probably got.
If you could repeat it, then that'd be great.
I am. So basically, what you were saying regarding the marriage license is what I was also referring about the so-called dating rituals that we've been doing for over 120 years. It goes back to that system, that Jim Crow system, that we was basically supposed to court. You're supposed to basically go to your the father of the woman that you wanted to marry, and basically get her hand in marriage, what you call common law, and that's how it's supposed to play out, because it was through the church, it was through family, it was through community. Instead, what these assholes want to go ahead and do, excuse my language, they want the state and the government to get involved with their relationship to make it the most worthy marriage more than so-called God's version of marriage. So for the last 120 years, what we have basically has put away God's standards of marriage and accepted this Babylonian type of doctrine marriage that we call marriage in this place. And now that's why we in this place called 2021, where marriage is not even a good thing, and it's also a thing of the past. That's what you're trying to say.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. Gary, thank you for dropping in, guys. We're gonna sign off in about a minute before I sign off. But before we sign off, you guys have done an awesome job. I'm at 1,700 subs, man. Go subscribe to Blind Guy, His Wife, Life. Blind Guy, His Wife, Their Life. They have a very great show. I was on that show last night with Anton Daniels, and we had a great show talking about the we call it the work spouse, the work husband.
Yeah, work wives, work husbands, work spouse.
And so go check them out, guys. They are awesome people. But listen, guys, we're at 1735. If 5 or 10 people share this content, hit the 1 button. You guys can help me get to 2,000 before the end, hopefully before the end of the month. So I'm almost there, but guys, please share the content. If you share the content, that will help me 100%. If you don't have any money to give, sharing the content will help me get to my quota. So once you share the content, hit 1. Once you share the content, please hit 1. Community solutions. Before I let you go, dear, what did you get from this show, and how did it add insight about black men and why black men are frustrated by WAP culture?
Well, I had already known that black men were frustrated by WAP culture. I do have a lot of male friends because I worked in a male-orientated field, and so I get their perspective a lot. The best thing I could say is maybe change the formula of what you look for. Like I notice men go for flashy women. Like if you take it down on this type of woman you're looking for, this blueprint in terms of physicality, you might find that you might be better, find a better mate, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, but this very good show. Thank you so much for having me on the panel. It's good to see you again, Blind Guy, His Wife, Their Life, and
you too.
Thank
I'll
you.
be seeing y'all again on the next show. I follow you guys' channel. You have some good
this community adult.
This is what's your channel name?
This the community solutions.
Community Solutions. Yeah.
Community adult.
Sometimes.
Yeah, you call her community adult.
It's a different icon and avatar than what I normally go by.
So can I ask you a quick question? You have a channel. Do you have a channel?
I do, but I'm not posting like I should. My channel, my platform is I really do a lot in terms of like volunteering in the community. I'm trying right now. I'm in the process of trying to open a grocery store in a food desert. Wow. And just doing a lot of things, working with legal people to get expungements, doing dental work for poor people, a lot of different things I have planned. But I right now I'm trying to get it all together.
No doubt.
Yeah,
well, you know, to add as a caveat to that, community solutions, unfortunately, a lot of our average women think that they're better than what they really are as well. And even those average women are demanding better than average guys, to the point
I was
that
just about to touch on that, sir.
Right, to the point that the average guys are saying, to hell with it. The culture is totally changed, and I think your heart is right, community solution. You're an optimist, but a lot of these guys in the real world deal with, in dating, they see it for what it is, and many are just divesting, or they're not going to deal with American women at all, unfortunately. But thank you, dear. You added a lot to the content. Please feel free to join again. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. And also share this content. Share it with good women that think like you. Let those women know what American men are thinking. All right, please do that. If you haven't subscribed, and please share the content.
Before you let me go, can you check to see that Cash App came through? Because I want to make sure I sent it to the right.
Okay, hold tight, dear. Hold on, let me look. Hold tight. Go ahead, Mr. O.
Coach Clinician, we got piano lessons to get to, so we're just gonna say thank you for letting us come on.
Thank you, brother. Thank you
for coming on last night. And the bottom line is this: WAP culture has been here. It's just we just finding out more about it more and more. And like Coach Clinician said, brothers, we like Matthew Henson. We want to be the first to plant the pole. So women that's out there getting ran through, as people like to say, then you done had 15, 20 poles planted, then you're gonna probably be low on everybody's totem pole for selection. So make the open box a closed box.
You need
Leslie.
to be a comedian.
All right, so we'll see you later, Coach.
All right, thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you, Leslie, from donate the $10 super chat. Thank you, dear. I really appreciate that. Right. And thank you, Tim Howard, man. I love you, Tim. Tim always be helping me out. I really love Tim. Tim be holding it down. Tim is like a Tim is like a superhero. So I love Tim. So we're about to sign off. Mr. O, did you have anything to add? About 5 minutes. I have to go. 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes. I have to go. Anything to add, Mr. O?
Now, I appreciate what she had just the last woman that had just commented, but I had to be, because it kind of be making me feel kind of like they kind of being disingenuous just a little bit, because I was at one time 300-some pounds and out of shape, and I had women tell me if I had lost without the same kind of women that's so-called average or even below average, then when you want to talk to me saying that I had to lose weight. Soon as I have lost the entire weight, lost a whole 100 pounds, now these same women think that I should go ahead and give them a chance and accept them for who they are. That's when I finally got like a little red. I was like, hold on. So you want me to accept you for who you are and you come as you but I had to do all this investing into myself to lose the weight, learn about myself and diet, and you could just come on for the finished product. That's why I was like calling the BS in this community. I was like, wait a minute, y'all lazy lovers. Y'all lazy at trying to go ahead and be in relationships, and y'all think just because y'all become at a certain age, y'all are basically deemed worthy to have all these luxurious things to come to you. That's why I was very upset with the black community and the stance of American black woman. And actuality, I got even more upset with us black men. And once I start seeing these red pill spaces like yours and other content creators, I just basically had seen like, hey, this is the way to go until society change otherwise. That's all I have to say.
Well, I'll say it, man. Thank you, man. If you have you subscribed to the channel, Mr. O?
Yes, I have.
All
I sent you on Brother Black Round 313's stream about a couple of weeks ago, and I
appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. And please share this content. You add a lot of insight. I love your energy. I love your passion, and I have a burning desire to support millennials and zennials because it's tough out here for you guys, man. And I'm telling you, brother, with the work that you put in, I'm telling you, man, you will be a god in another country. So you don't have to sell it for me.
Subscribe to my channel. Also, drop a little content here and there as well.
Okay, I will. Yeah. Send me the link, man. What's the name of your channel?
I'm actually gonna go ahead and exit out the stream. Y'all drop it off into the chat.
Okay, all right. Thank you, guys, and also shout out to my dear friend Miss Parker. She's a sweetheart. So we're about to sign off. It's about 57 minutes after the hour, 4 o'clock. This has been an awesome show. I'm grateful for the viewership. I'm grateful for the people that have supported the channel and the platform. And guys, if you don't have any money to donate, please donate. Share the channel with as many people as you can. And we're about to sign off. Listen, there are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. Female psychology and also understanding male health and male physical health is paramount to helping a man function. If you can't get your needs met in the contextual framework of America, I challenge you guys to travel abroad. And I want you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. We're signing off, and I'm going to play a little bit more music, and you guys have a great day. I love you guys. Be well.
never knew love would come and find me one day. Oh, I never knew that you would be the one headed my way. Yeah. Oh, you caught me off guard and you took me by surprise. Oh, there's so many things that I wanna do. Do you? Can you visualize? It's hard to say all the things I won't do, but I'm trying. Oh, to find a way to get close to you. It's so hard to say all the things I won't do. I'm waiting to let you know how much I want you. When I think about you, I feel la 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 la. When I think about you, I want la 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 la. When I think about you, I feel la 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 la. When I think about you, I want la 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 la. All that time. Oh, you get what I'm trying to say, 'cause to you I'm an open book. Oh, take your time and read me slowly, baby. Got the hungry look. But it's hard to say all the things I want to, but I'm trying. Oh, to find a way to get close to you. It's so hard to say all the things I want to. I'm waiting to let you know how much I want you. Yeah. When I think about you, I feel la 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 la. When I think about you, I want la 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 la. Yeah, yeah. When I think about you, I feel la 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 la. When I think about you, I want la 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 la. All that time. When I think about you, I feel la 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 la. When I think about you, I want la 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 la. Yeah. When I think about you, when I think about you, I feel la la la. When I think about you, I want la 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 la. All the time.
That money clip us now, the new now looks like. Whoa, upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like. Whoa, 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 whoa. I hit record a drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets. When I'm performing, never boring, now you can't afford it. Champagne Perrier, vintage friends on my face, looking like I'm from the deep. These no Cartiers, pockets deep, 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 bro. I can make it in my seat, bro. Do you, I'm doing me, bro. Making noise, use a peep, bro. Whoa, I press the button and the doors go off like. Whoa, that money clip us now, the new now looks like. Whoa, upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like. Whoa, 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 whoa. Neighborhood on the scene, neighborhood on the strip. Neighborhood be the name, neighborhood no crib. Neighborhood that's me, neighborhood that's Nick. Neighborhood do the dance, neighborhood do the deal. Okay, thought I'd never make it like no way. I'm the real deal, no role play. My days off, that's no days. No, I hustle hard, young rose. E be the shooter, that's cold case. Those on the deals, that's brose. Got no pay, on no say. Okay, this the news, tell them read it. Been the one since a fetus. Don't sleep on me, Tempur-Pedic. That's a no, no, no. Spending dope for no reason. Got a ball head, Mr. Cleaner. Heard the big bags overseas, then we gon' go, go, go. Whoa, I press the button and the